have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty.
my power,
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am
I am
tired,
tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name is Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Two anti-government, self-described revolutionaries have shot up a pizza restaurant as well as a Walmart in Las Vegas.
The internationally syndicated political series, The David Pakman Show, provides progressive talk, analysis, and interviews with the nation's youngest radio and television host, David Pakman. Find out more and catch up on all the latest episodes by visiting our website at freespeech.org.
What do you say? It's Thursday, August 28th. Here we are on the Bill Press Show. Good to have you with us this Thursday morning on Free Speech TV and worldwide on our video stream, TawkrTV, TAWKR TV. YouTube.com/TawkrTV is where you find us. And we will hopscotch around the globe this morning with all the big news of the day. Outrage worldwide, and especially here in the United States, over that shooting out in Arizona at a shooting range called Bullets and Burgers, where the owners allowed a 9-year-old girl to shoot an Uzi. She did, and she accidentally shot and killed her shooting instructor. What the hell were her parents doing, allowing her to fire an Uzi in the first place? No decision from the White House yet over airstrikes inside of Syria, but that's certainly the direction they're going in, and it's only a matter of time. ESPN, meanwhile, here on the home front, has apologized for a story it ran talking about the shower habits of Michael Sam, the first gay player in the NFL, and whether or not he's allowed to take showers with other players because he happens to be gay. What a stupid, stupid story. Shame on ESPN for running it in the first place. And one day after shaking hands with the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Putin has sent Russian soldiers in to invade yet another part of the Ukraine, just proving, if we ever needed any proof, that you can't trust Putin at all. And Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is out with an explosive new book saying that 4 different male senators made comments to her about her weight, one of them suggesting that she might be getting a little too porky. Oh, my God. All of that and more here on the Bill Press Show, Thursday, August 28th. Good to have you with us.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I'm the retired bishop with the Episcopal Church as the bishop for all chaplains in federal service. I read that there was a group of people that represented a sense of injustice that I had. We'd lost Zuccotti. I mean, there was a kind of a hope that maybe Trinity Church would be gracious and give refuge. We picked this day where we would gather and demonstrate that Trinity was closing its ears to what was happening. We marched around the block, and I realized that, my goodness, they're carrying a ladder. And I thought, well, this is the moment. You could feel a spiritual presence. You could feel a certain something. And then the cops came in. It got brutal.
Yeah, I'm with you right here. Robin, I'm here.
The church needed, in this moment in history, to stand alongside of these protesters. The truth of Christ is found in the pews, is found in the institutional church, but it is also found in the streets. It's found in the honesty and the integrity, the insistence of people that you find in Occupy Wall Street.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
On a Thursday, outrage over a shooting incident, a shooting accident out in Arizona at a gun range. That's where we start today. Hello, everybody. Good to see you on this Thursday, August 28. How about it? It is the Bill Press Show. We are reaching out to you nationwide from our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., reaching out to you all across this country on your local progressive talk radio station. Good to see you today. And on Free Speech TV, if you got a satellite dish. And don't forget, if you're not lucky enough to have a good progressive talk station where you live, you can find us on one of two apps, easy to download, the TuneIn app or iHeartRadio, which will link you to one of our great affiliates. And we're reaching out to you worldwide, of course, on our video stream, youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKRTV. Lots to talk about this morning on the national front and the international front and the political side as well. We've got it all covered here. Team Press, Peter Ogburn and Lisa Murphy.
Happy Thursday.
Hey.
Thursday. Yep, indeed.
Woo-hoo.
We're closing in on the end of the week here. At least, keeping the whole team together, man.
It's tough,
It's
man.
one day at a time these days. Alicia Cruz out today, and Javon Paris coming in to take your calls at 866-55-PRESS. Cyprian Bowling is here on the video cam, the big machine keeping the cameras going and the lights on. Our videographer for Free Speech TV and youtube.com/TawkrTV. And it was a great, great day out in Chicago yesterday, where the Jackie Robinson West team was honored because they are, everybody says, well, they lost to South Korea. No, the big news is they are the United States National Little League champs. Too bad we didn't win the international title, but they won the World Series of Little League, which is phenomenal. It's really great. And this team, those kids, all African Americans, all from the south side of Chicago, where you hear nothing but bad things, right? And they came out. They had a huge parade yesterday from way down on the south side all the way up to Millennium Park in downtown Chicago, which is a great, great, great spot. Love it there. The captain of the team, Pierce Jones, getting up just to say thank you to all the fans.
On behalf of me and everybody else, we just want to say thank you for all the support. We saw most of it from down there, and we just want to say thank you, and we love you.
Yeah, we love you. Love you, Chicago.
It'd be great to see what happens to some of the players out of this.
I know.
What they go on to do. And what Monet Davis, that other
the little girl from
female
Philadelphia.
pitcher,
Yeah.
she said she wants to go play basketball for UConn and beyond.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring. It really is.
It really is. And the way Chicago came out behind these kids and giving them that opportunity, it's just fabulous. The star pitcher for the Jackie Robinson West, Joshua Houston, said again and again, here we come from the south side, and so don't necessarily think south side's all bad.
Because we're African American boys from the south side. That's showing people that the south side is just not about bad things. And something good can come from the south side of Chicago, period.
It's nice that the young kids can be that aware of the situation.
Yeah. And I got to say, I mean, I very seldom, I'm there every day, but the White House doesn't necessarily always ask me for advice, but I'm going to give them some this morning, right? Because I know somebody else from the south side of Chicago who did pretty well, okay? And Barack Obama, you better damn sight invite the Jackie Robinson West team to the White House, We know you love bringing teams in, and you get all your thrills that way. I've been to many, many, many occasions in the Rose Garden, on the South Lawn, in the East Room, where the president has welcomed championship sports teams. Well, let's bring in your own Jackie Robinson West.
There you go.
All right? So that's my challenge. Forget the freaking ice bucket challenge. Do the Jackie Robinson West challenge. All right. Hey, A lot of good friends joining us this morning. Justin Sink from The Hill, be along a little bit later. Brad Woodhouse from American Bridge. And Erikka Knutti, Democratic strategist, among our many guests this morning. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news this morning. Just in time for breakfast, Bill. Denny's has a new deal if you eat in their New York City Times Square restaurant. What is that? Well, you can get a Grand Slam breakfast for 2 people, which is 2 pancakes, 2 pieces of bacon, 2 pieces of sausage, and 2 eggs, however you'd like it. That's pretty standard. But you can also get a bottle of Dom Perignon Vintage 2003 champagne and a high five from your bartender. That will cost you $300 if you eat at a Denny's. The Denny's in Times Square, New York.
I hate to sound elitist, but if I go to New York, which Carol and I do 2 or 3 times a year, right? I don't go to New York to eat at a Denny's.
Of course not.
Don't go to.
But if you're
or for a bottle of champagne.
If you're going to go to New York and you do find yourself in a Denny's,
I will not find myself.
It's usually, I'm not talking about you. I know you won't. But if you're someone who finds yourself,
by the way, I've been in Denny's. I used to go to Denny's on Hollywood.
Night of partying.
Hollywood Boulevard in L.A. I used to go to that Denny's there quite a bit, right? But not in New York. I don't go to New York.
And not with a bottle of champagne.
No,
for sure. The latest on the University of Southern California, Josh Shaw, their player yesterday. Remember, we talked about this story a couple days ago. He said that he saw his nephew drowning in a pool, so he jumped off the second-floor balcony and sprained both of his ankles. We've heard that there were reports that wasn't exactly the case. Well, he has come clean. He says he made that whole story up.
Oh, no.
USC has suspended him indefinitely for fabricating the story. We still aren't 100% sure of what happened.
He did break both ankles,
He did, in fact, sprain both of his ankles, but we don't know exactly why. There have been several rumors floating around. We're not going to speculate on what they are, but he has come clean and said he didn't rescue his nephew. So
what a bozo.
Unbelievable. Right before the big weekend, too.
Stupid. And Planned Parenthood has a new ally in actress Scarlett Johansson.
I have a feeling alcohol and sex were involved.
That's usually the case with trouble like this. Yeah, that's usually.
That's how I normally sprain my ankles, too.
Yeah, we've all been there. Planned Parenthood and actress Scarlett Johansson have teamed up that she has designed a new T-shirt to help raise funds for Planned Parenthood's Action Fund. She swung into action after the Supreme Court's ruling on Hobby Lobby. It is a pink T-shirt that says on the front, "Hey, politicians," and on the back it says, "The 1950s called and they want their sexism back." On the text on the left sleeve says, "Love Scarlett Johansson." So it's got her name on it and a very important message there. You could buy them on Planned Parenthood's website with proceeds going to their action fund.
That's a great deal.
Yeah.
She's one of the most beautiful creatures that ever walked the planet.
I can't disagree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Peter, thank you. Yes, indeed. The story where we start this morning, it is so outrageous. It just defies belief. And that such a thing could happen in this country. At the same time, it doesn't, because we are so nuts about guns. We are so obsessed with no restrictions at all on firearms in this country that I guess maybe we ought to just be surprised that this didn't happen before and doesn't happen more often. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you've heard about it. This tragic situation out in Arizona. Okay, so you got this tour company, right, in Vegas that offers this great opportunity. The tour company is called Bullets and Burgers. Oh, boy. We go to Las Vegas. We get tired of the one-armed bandits. We can hop in this bus. Big bus takes you out to the Hoover Dam, and then it rolls you on into Arizona, not to the Grand Canyon, no. Although a helicopter flight over the Grand Canyon is an extra option. Probably pay another $500. But the purpose of this bus, the Bullets and Burgers tour, is to take you to the Last Stop. The Last Stop, the name of this shooting range, where you are given a burger lunch And there, according to their website, you can shoot a wide variety of fully automatic machine and belt-fed guns, including your choice: the AK-47, the Colt M16, the MPS-40, the FN-FAL, the Bren, the M4, the M249, the M60, the PKM, the Uzi, and the M203 grenade launcher.
A grenade launcher?
Yeah, there you are. That's their menu. Yeah. The burgers you get for lunch. The other menu, you get the gun menu. You take your choice, and you can fire anything as long, of course, as you are 8 years old. What the hell is going on? And this is perfectly legal. I mean, this is Arizona, right? I mean, this might as well be Iraq. No restrictions at all on, no federal regulations at all on gun ranges. And Arizona, of course, it's up to the states, and you can't count on Arizona. So we know what happened. This family from New Jersey, this couple from New Jersey, go to the on Bulletin Burgers. They go to the last stop with their 9-year-old daughter, and they stand there with their cell phone recording her firing an Uzi, aided by instructor Charles Vaca.
No, we have to keep that held in. Otherwise, the gun won't fire, okay?
All right, now let's fire off one shot, huh? Just one shot to start with.
Okay, turn this leg forward. There you go, just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
All right, go ahead and give me one shot.
Give one shot. All right.
Right.
All right, now let's put it up to fully automatic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that was the last stop for Charles Vaca. Yeah. How sick. I mean, he, of course, was killed, and now they're all saying, oh, no, how could this happen? This is so sad. No, this place should not have been open in the first place. I mean, you got to be 21 to buy a drink? An 8-year-old, you can fire an AK-47? It's insane. And I just want to know, what parents would let their little girl do this and think this is fun, right? And then take the video of it. What were they freaking thinking?
Sick.
Yeah.
It's sick. I mean,
that girl is scarred for life.
My God.
I mean, I feel sorry for him.
Imagine.
But so you know what the experts are saying? Well, it was his fault because he was standing on the wrong side of the little girl. No, this shooting range should not exist. Kids should not be able to fire these weapons. 8 years old. Give me a freaking break. Again, you got to be 21 to buy a drink. You got to be 16 to drive a car. And you can be 8 years old and fire an AK-47? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And you know what? Nothing will happen. We will not do anything about this because we are too damn obsessed with guns and think it's, in the Bible that you can't put any common sense restrictions on the use of guns and the availability of guns.
If anybody can name one reason why a 9-year-old child should learn how to shoot an Uzi.
Right. All right. Yeah. Give us a call. 866-55-PRESS. Yeah. Can anybody, one reason why a parent should take their kid to a gun range like this and let them fire an AK-47 or an Uzi?
Look, there are a lot of cultures in this country that hunting is a big part of their heritage. If you want to teach your child a responsible way to use a rifle, right? I still think 9 years old is just a little too young. But okay, I'll hear that argument. Okay, a rifle because you live off the land or whatever, and that's part of your heritage. An Uzi, you have to prepare your child to be a warrior of the coming apocalypse.
Look,
I don't buy it.
I grew up in that hunting culture. Duck hunting, rabbit hunting with my uncle, with my father. I don't know, maybe I was 12 when I got a 20 gauge shotgun,
right.
And I remember I got my ass kicked but good once when I just sort of pointed that in the wrong direction.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I'll never forget it.
That's right.
And I mean, but it was safety. And again, it was a pretty harmless, not harmless. You could kill somebody, but you know what I mean? It's a hunting,
comparatively speaking,
it's a hunting rifle.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I mean, but there's no reason whatsoever.
An Uzi.
Yeah. And again, the gentleman here, the head of the Third Way, Jim Kessler is his name, head of the Third Way, they've got, this is their mission to try to get some tougher regs. He points out, again, on shooting ranges around the country, no federal regs whatsoever.
We don't have a lot of regulations on guns in this country in general. But on shooting ranges, there's really no federal regulations. That's really left up to states and locals.
Yeah, left up to states and locals. So again, what's equally shocking is that everything that happened was totally legal, totally within the law. The availability of the guns and the age of the kids who are firing those guns. I mean, one would hope that out of this would come some regulation saying you got to be 21 to fire these weapons. Or 18 to fire these weapons. But you know what? Nothing's going to happen because the NRA owns the United States Congress. Shame on us as a nation. 866-55-PRESS. There you get the challenge. You got the ice bucket challenge from Peter this morning. Give us one good reason why a 9-year-old should be able to fire an Uzi.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Grunt work. Love it, hate it, useful, not useful.
Necessary.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
I will say that I think is a challenge for anyone, especially the new workforce as they come in, is the ability to accept grunt work with grace.
The most boring, awful details are the most important elements of doing this work. From the way you save names in your Rolodex to the way you bank and you deposit checks. The truth is, this work isn't glamorous, it's rewarding. You don't go into this for the glamour, you go into it for the impact. And so it takes that determination to do the scut work to actually get anywhere.
It can be really challenging in a first job for someone who's coming out of finishing school to have the enthusiasm that they do to make the type of social impact that they've dreamed of. And now they're here in this first job and all of a sudden they're shouldered with all this grunt work. And they don't understand and they don't get it and they're resentful.
Talk more about the power of answering phones.
Sure, I did that myself, took out the trash, cleaned offices when I had to, and it's all good. There's power in being a good team player and in being somebody who sometimes has to support other people's leadership before you get to have your own moment in the sun.
Is it hard to wait?
It is absolutely hard to wait, especially if you're an alpha female like I am.
I think grunt work can help a new employee build trust internally and teach them the nuances of how an organization is run so that they can have a real good sense of what HR is doing, what finance is doing, what all the other departments are, and that actually makes them a better employee in the long run.
So in my role on a daily basis, I literally can be looking at a new venture in software. We could be looking at a microfinance deal. I could be making coffee, taking out the trash, and riding a tractor on any given day.
Have you found people who thought it was demeaning that they were given this job, work in the front office and make the coffee when they graduated with all A's from this great university? And,
people like that just don't last very long in our world. If your approach to life is that, you're so smart and you're such a fabulous entrepreneur that you can't understand why people aren't giving you opportunities, it's really hard to advance.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
President Obama, are you fracking kidding me?
Reopen the EPA studies. In Texas, Wyoming, and Pennsylvania.
Fracking pollutes our oceans.
Fracking poisons our water.
Fracking makes climate change worse.
Fracking relies on toxic chemicals that cause cancer.
Ban fracking now.
Ban fracking now.
Go on. Ban it.
Ban fracking now.
Please.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Talking about the Bullets and Burgers tragedy yesterday. One person went on the Bullets and Burgers website, their trip advisory page, and just entered the comment, "What in the name of Jesus is wrong with us, Americans?"
We're
Peter?
on Twitter at BP Show, at BP Show. Find us there and join in the conversation. John Brown comments, "I wouldn't let a 9-year-old have a cell phone, let alone an Uzi."
Thank you. Thank you.
If you want to join in, remember, follow us at BP Show.
Gene, calling from out in Cleveland. Hello, Gene.
Yeah, Bill, thank God that nobody intelligent got killed there. And another thing, too, is what kind of liability insurance do they have to carry for this? Does anybody have insurance when they have these stupid guns?
You know what? That's a good question. They say they've never had an accident like this before, and obviously no charges are going to be filed against this kid.
No.
Or her parents.
Or her parents, or the gun range, or anything. It's all legal. And
Yeah.
It's all 100% A-OK.
Right. And you know what gets me is they're already saying, I've seen some NRA people saying, well, this guy, he was so stupid. He stood on the wrong side of this little girl. He he had his hand on her back and not on her shoulder. And it was his fault. It was his fault. No, it wasn't his fault. It's our fault. It's our fault for cowing down and bending over for the NRA. And damn it, stop it.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing down. I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan, big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
All right, at 34 minutes after the hour, a 9-year-old at a shooting range with an Uzi in Arizona. What could possibly go wrong? We heard the audio. The instructor has the little girl fire one shot just to test the weapon, and then he says, okay, now let's turn it up, full bore, automatic. Get this, 600 rounds a minute? Why? What's the purpose of it? It, of course, an Uzi is known for not being one of the heavier guns, but still, it is known for having a hell of a kick.
Right.
And she couldn't. I mean, how could she possibly? She couldn't control it. It kicked up and shot her instructor in the head. Charles Vodka, and he was killed. Again, going back to Mr. Kessler from The Third Way, all these people who are saying, well, no. They just need to teach these kids gun safety. No such thing when it comes to a weapon of war.
There is no such thing as gun safety when you're with a child. They can't handle a weapon of that lethality and that power and that weight.
Yeah. I mean, why?
It gets back to what you were talking about earlier when you had a hunting rifle, right? Like, you make a mistake with a hunting rifle, it could be very, very bad, right? But you could sort of teach a child, never, ever, ever point that in the wrong direction, always have the safety on unless you intend to shoot. With an Uzi, It's an uncontrollable machine.
600 rounds a minute?
Yeah, exactly. There's very little margin for error in something like
with
that.
my shotgun, I have to put a shell in, fire it, boom, take that, take it, then put another shell in.
Totally different story.
Absolutely no reason, no sense whatsoever for this. And why have we just? I mean, we're inviting this, and again, what is? I don't understand the mentality of parents who would take their children to a firing range in the first place. Right? For a handgun or any kind of a gun, but certainly not for an automatic weapon. You might as well take them out and let them drive a tank. Right?
That would actually be safer.
Robert's calling from down in Lawrence, South Carolina. Hey, Robert, what about this?
Good morning. Well, it hasn't been so long that a 6-year-old was killed under a similar circumstance. I keep wondering who's going to have to die.
I think that 6-year-old shot himself, didn't he?
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
Right. Yeah, I know. Right. Not so long ago.
Well, it seems like the problem is we're training ourselves and arming ourselves against an enemy that doesn't exist.
Well, yeah. And in this case, it's almost like Pogo said, we found the enemy and he is us. Because, I mean, this is just not right. I mean, come on. There's certainly a legitimate use for firearms, but there's also a common sense reason for some restrictions about the access and availability of certain kinds of guns, and certainly not to children. Keep them out of the hands of. But again, I come back to this. You know what? If we didn't do anything about sensible gun safety measures after what happened up in Connecticut, right? Sandy Hook Elementary School. If we didn't do anything after that, why should we do anything because an instructor at a firing range out in Arizona is killed? Yeah. That's what most people, I mean, I'm telling you, this is going to just wash over. I don't know what it will take. And that's the point that Robert made. Out in Las Vegas, hello, Leroy. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, how you doing, Bill?
All right, good. Thanks for your call. What's up?
Oh, well, in a weird kind of way, I'm almost glad this happened, because this is, I mean, have we lost our minds? I mean, are we going to let the gun lobbyists just drive us insane with this? We should be out in the streets on this issue alone. You know, I mean, we've had too much gun violence, and it's got to stop somewhere, Bill. I mean, is this like, okay, bring your child to Las Vegas here? You know, this is better than ice cream, people. You know, let's teach them how to be natural-born killers at a younger age.
Yeah, Leroy, I could not agree with you more. No, it just defies, belief. But by the way, I love Las Vegas, and there's plenty to do in Las Vegas.
You want to get in trouble in Las Vegas, you could do it without a gun.
Without a gun, right. You don't have to get in a bus and go to the desert in Arizona with bullets and burgers to the last stop. Yeah, I in a sense, I keep coming back to that. I would hope that this would be the last stop for totally unfettered access to firearms in this country. I mean, that would be appropriate, right? If Americans would finally say, "All right, this is it. This is the last stop. This is the straw that broke the camel's back." Do you think it will happen? 866-55-PASS. Do you think there'll be enough members of Congress to stand up and say, "This is freaking stupid. We should not allow this"? No. In the eyes of the world, we just look like the Wild West that they imagine us. And this kind of proves it. And then Arizona, I mean, with that idiot Governor Jan Brewer out there, what do you expect?
I also wonder
I wonder what John McCain's going to say about this. He doesn't give a damn.
Yeah, he hadn't said anything about it. I wonder also about the relationship between the parents and the child, right? Like, what should happen to those parents who look, I have a 9-year-old kid. He's never, ever, ever in a million years said, "I really want to go shoot a gun."
Yeah, right. Do you think it was her idea?
That's what I'm saying.
It was not her idea.
I think those parents put that idea in her head. "Come on, sweetie, you're going to get such a kick out of this. We could go shoot an Uzi."
Not her idea at all. She didn't ask to go there. No. You know what? Disney World. There's Disneyland.
That's what kids want to do.
There's Legoland.
Yeah.
There's Five Flags, Seven Flags.
Six Flags.
Six Flags.
They're down to like
Six Flags, right?
Yeah, the Six Flags.
There's the beach.
Yeah.
There's camping. I mean, this is, whitewater rafting. You got a lot of possibilities. Shooting an Uzi. Mark, out in Madison, Wisconsin, 92.1 The Mic. Hello, Mark.
How you doing?
All right. What?
Yeah, I was ex-Marine, and we were on the firing range. They just do one shot at a time. If you try to go semi-auto, you'd be in big trouble.
Is that right?
Wow.
Whoa. Yeah.
That's messed up.
It is messed up.
Some Congress should get their butts out and stop this from going on with the kids.
Well, I would hope they would, Mark. I just don't have much hope in them from what I've seen of this gang. I mean, again, after Sandy Hook, what more do you need, you would think? What more do you need? Carl in South Hadley, Mass. Hello, Carl.
Yes, 2 or 3 years ago, we had the same thing happen with an 8-year-old little boy. He was the son of a doctor, and my girlfriend works with a doctor who knows him. He says it was the hardest thing. He's, a doctor. The little boy, they had a picture just before he shot himself, and the instructor took the picture. So he had his camera. The instructor had his camera in his left hand, and his hand on the shoulder of the boy, of his right hand on the left shoulder of the little boy that was firing it. And it wasn't a full-size Uzi, it was a mini Uzi, which are even harder to control. The Uzi I was in the Army for 6 years, and I shot competitively in the Army pistol. And these people that don't know what they're talking about when they talk about, how guns should be legal, we should be able to buy anything we want, and they're just nuts. The Uzi was designed for the Israelis for close border combat.
Right.
Going to houses, you can turn a corner with it. It's real short barrel.
Yeah.
Very hard to control. Has a large clip, and to let a 9-year-old girl fire one round semi-automatic and then say, "Okay, turn it to auto." You're nuts. You're just
Totally, you're right. Absolutely, it was designed for the Israeli army back in the 1990s for that close range, combat, right? And to take that and put it in a shooting range and put it in the hands of a 9-year-old girl. And again, you have to be 8, so she was a year older than the minimum age. Okay, the outrage of this, I'm glad to hear it. I just wish that some of it would transfer to these cowards in the United States Congress. And they are. Total yellow belly cowards. The whole gang of them. Nancy in Detroit. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Yes, this is an outrage, and they are total cowards. My comment is that I wouldn't be surprised if the gun manufacturers are somehow financing these ranges because they do need to expand their customer base into the younger generations, after all. And I wouldn't also be surprised if whatever brought that family to the gun range was some kind of a marketing incentive that they might have obtained at some store. I'd like to see where the money's coming from and what's the incentive. You know, we were all kids once, and my father was very cautious about something that could hurt his children.
You know what, Nancy? Excellent point. Follow the money is what you're saying, and I think you're right. I will not take your bet. I'm sure the gun manufacturers are helping finance these gun ranges. I am absolutely positive of that. And I think and they probably also give a little kickback to Bullets and Burgers. Yeah, you're right. And by the way, and those are the people that the NRA represents. We've said that before. They no longer represent honest, legitimate sportsmen of this country. They represent the gun manufacturers only, which is another reason why Congress should not be afraid of them. When we come back, Justin Sink from The Hill covers the White House for The Hill. He will join us in the next segment.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You know, sometimes when I'm walking down the street, I'm not necessarily looking out and seeing all these water wasting lawns and people that aren't as connected to their neighbors and their lives as they could be. I'm walking down the street looking, going, edible oases, rainwater, fed landscape, and just looking at the possibility of these sort of landscapes up and down the streets of neighborhoods and communities all across this world. Small actions do ripple and they add up and they have a cumulative impact. And so when you're building upon your small mindful actions, you know, you have the confidence and the ability to take on something a little bit greater. So that could be nice. This, in the context of where we're at as a planet with climate change and these really big issues and people that are more disconnected and less skilled than ever, it becomes even more amazing and powerful how much of a solution this is to design these ecological gardens and to come together with shared vision and shared voice. There's never been a time where your choices have mattered more. Doing something as simple as us transforming a landscape creates a model that anybody can look at far and wide, and you're sharing food and connecting and building skills together in your own neighborhood. It's a richer way to live in normal times, but in the new normal of climate change and erratic weather and economic upheaval, it becomes essential. Whether it's me, you, Gandhi, Che, MLK, Willy Wonka, whoever, past, present, or future, the power of our daily actions is all that we have. You know, and like our community said, give me a place to stand and a lever long enough and I'll move the world. And that's what those simple actions do. They move the world every day.
Two anti-government, self-described revolutionaries have shot up a pizza restaurant as well as a Walmart in Las Vegas.
The internationally syndicated political series, The David Pakman Show, provides progressive talk, analysis, and interviews with the nation's youngest radio and television host, David Pakman. Find out more and catch up on all the latest episodes by visiting our website at freespeech.org.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
11 minutes before the top of the hour, here on a Thursday, August 28. Well, he is still trying to solve the mystery of why President Obama came back from Martha's Vineyard for 2 days in the middle of his vacation. Nobody knows, but Justin Sink is not giving up. He keeps asking that question at the White House briefings, and one of these days, he's going to get to the bottom of it, and then we'll all know. Here he is, the fearless Justin Sink, White House correspondent for The Hill, joining us on a news line. Hello, Justin.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're after them. You're going to find out, right? You're going to get to the bottom of it.
I keep trying, and they keep not telling me at all what happened. So, I don't know. Maybe the persistence will pay off one of these days.
But, you know, it's the speculation still is it had something to do with Malia, because she came back with him, right? So it was some. Yeah,
she might have had some sort of athletic tryout for school. It was strange that she came back for 2 days. And then, you know, we do know for sure that he went to Sam Cass, the White House staff's house, for 5 hours. The night that he was back, and Major Garrett of CBS has reported on the air that he's heard that was a bachelor party, so it might have been part of those festivities. we just don't know. We don't know what it was.
Yeah, the bachelor party for Sam Cass, 5 hours. Yeah,
I'd love to hear the whole conversation with him and Michelle. No, I have to go back to Washington D.C. It's a very, very important matter. What are you going back for? I really can't talk about it. It's a family matter, but it's really important that I be there.
Well,
I think it's probably a drag to have the president at your bachelor party, to be honest.
Right?
Yeah, I think it might. It might change the way things might normally go down there. But just I was curious yesterday. I would have asked the same question you asked about this climate change report in the New York Times that the president is looking for a way around Congress on the issue of climate change.
Yeah, I mean, what was interesting about this report was both the idea that the administration is kind of using its pen and phone strategy in a new way on the international stage, saying that, we heard from Josh Earnest yesterday that they're really worried about the dysfunction in Congress, the inability of Congress
right.
to sign off on anything, and in this case, on a treaty or an agreement that could really have profound impacts on climate change and on different countries in the world joining together to try to tackle this problem. And so, even though there was kind of an explosion on Capitol Hill after this, and then the White House is saying, well, we haven't put anything down on paper yet, we're not sure exactly what it is. Josh Earnest made very clear yesterday that the White House is not afraid of kind of negotiating a treaty that wouldn't need congressional approval and would kind of be a go-around.
Yeah. No, he did not answer your question directly, but he also, in effect, admitted that they are considering this. They're looking at it. They want to do something about climate change. And he basically said, between the lines, if Congress gets in the way, we'll just do it on our own around Congress. So this so-called name and shame approach to climate change. In other words, naming countries that are not doing the right thing and hopefully shame them into changing their tactics.
Yeah, and what we heard from Josh is that this is something that they've seen work on climate change agreements before.
Yeah.
And he said explicitly they didn't want to enter a situation where they came up with a broader agreement but then couldn't get it through the Senate, and so the whole deal fell apart. And so, he had chances to say, no, we think that the Senate should be involved, and
right.
we want to negotiate a big package that gets them on board. He had chances to say the outlines of the plan that were described in the Times story are not what we're looking for, or not ambitious enough for what we're looking for. We didn't hear either of those things, and so, you don't always get the positive affirmation from the White House of what they're doing, but it did very much seem like they were endorsing the kind of approach.
Yeah. No. Yeah, good job ferreting that out yesterday, and thanks for your time, as always, this morning. Justin, look for you a little later at the briefing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, Justin Sink from The Hill, thehill.com.
This is the Bill Press Show.
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
President Obama, are you fracking kidding me?
Reopen the EPA studies.
In Texas, Wyoming, and Pennsylvania.
Fracking pollutes our oceans.
Fracking poisons our water.
Fracking makes climate change worse.
Fracking relies on toxic chemicals that cause cancer. Ban fracking now.
Ban fracking now.
Go on. Ban it.
Ban fracking now.
Please.
A few years ago, plastic bag waste in our city came to a tipping point. It was clear. We had a bag problem. My department was tasked to reduce plastic bag consumption. We needed to come up with ways to change human behavior. So we asked ourselves,
should I get back?
What do people really hate?
Yep.
Getting punched in the stomach. Preliminary studies showed that the consequences weren't severe enough to warrant behavioral change.
Actually, can I get that double bagged?
So we thought, what do people hate more than getting punched in the stomach? Kissing Helga.
Hey, big boy.
People didn't find her so offensive after all, so we had to get creative.
How many bags? Okay, now, pour this ice water down your pants.
We tried everything.
Eat the threat.
defuse this bomb. Even fighting your clone. After blowing through millions of dollars of government funds on research, I came up with a brilliant idea.
Why don't we just charge 5 cents per bag?
That's a stupid idea.
Would you like a bag?
Yes.
5 cents a bag.
5 cents? 5 cents? Do I still have the option of getting punched?
Honestly, I don't know how everyone else missed it.
Why don't you just get a reusable bag?
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Brad Woodhouse from American Bridge, top of the next hour.
Some good news out of Ferguson, Missouri, Bill. It was announced last night by Captain Ron Johnson that the Missouri National Guard members left yesterday. The physical command center that they had set up in the Target parking lot has been broken down, so it's a somewhat return to normal life there. So he's still there on the ground. The Highway Patrol is still working and policing there, but as far as the National Guard and some of the military side of the police force, that is all broken down and left.
The good news I want to hear out of Ferguson is the indictment of police officer Darren Wilson. Grand jury met again yesterday.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
What do you say? It's Thursday, August 28th. Here we are on the Bill Press Show. Good to have you with us this Thursday morning on Free Speech TV and worldwide on our video stream, TawkrTV, TAWKR TV. YouTube.com/TawkrTV is where you find us. And we will hopscotch around the globe this morning with all the big news of the day. Outrage worldwide, and especially here in the United States, over that shooting out in Arizona at a shooting range called Bullets and Burgers, where the owners allowed a 9-year-old girl to shoot an Uzi. She did, and she accidentally shot and killed her shooting instructor. What the hell were her parents doing, allowing her to fire an Uzi in the first place? No decision from the White House yet over airstrikes inside of Syria, but that's certainly the direction they're going in, and it's only a matter of time. ESPN, meanwhile, here on the home front, has apologized for a story it ran talking about the shower habits of Michael Sam, the first gay player in the NFL, and whether or not he's allowed to take showers with other players because he happens to be gay. What a stupid, stupid story. Shame on ESPN for running it in the first place. And one day after shaking hands with the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Putin has sent Russian soldiers in to invade yet another part of the Ukraine, just proving, if we ever needed any proof, that you can't trust Putin at all. And Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is out with an explosive new book saying that 4 different male senators made comments to her about her weight, one of them suggesting that she might be getting a little too porky. Oh, my God. All of that and more here on The Bill Press Show, Thursday, August 28th. Good to have you with us.
This is The Bill Press Show.
What gets you into college? Good SAT scores? High GPA? Lots of extracurriculars?
Sure, but what you really need is money.
If you don't have the cash, you'll need a loan.
And we mean huge student loans because the cost of college has risen 1,000% in the last 30 years.
This means big money for the banks that collect fees and interest.
Now, millions of young people are starting their adult lives with an average of $29,000 of loans on their backs.
Altogether, we're talking $1.2 trillion in student debt.
And more people are finding it impossible to pay them back. Welcome to the student debt crisis.
The increasing demand for higher education and cuts to state funding gave colleges a huge incentive to keep inflating prices.
I graduated about a year ago, currently in $35,000 of debt.
I am in debt about like $25,000.
I owe $23,000.
I owe over $50,000 in student loans.
38.8 million Americans owe money on a student loan. And the biggest names in banking are making huge profits off the booming student loan industry. Sallie Mae, the largest provider of private student loans, made $949 million last year.
They only give you about 6 months to look for a job. You have to start paying back the loan. It's very pressuring, especially nowadays. It's very hard to find a job.
Over half of the students graduating in 2012 could not find a decent paying job.
They either had low-wage jobs or unpaid internships or were unemployed altogether.
So you can't make the payments. You start incurring late fees, which makes the loan even harder to pay off.
And it stays with you for years, even decades.
Right now, a third of the people who started repaying their loans are delinquent or in default.
That's 13.7 million people, more than the populations of Chicago, New York, and San Francisco combined.
Worse, it's not just the borrowers who are in trouble. Many loans require co-signers.
So if the student is unable to pay, that co-signer, a father, a mother, or a grandparent, is now on the hook.
Even a grandparent's Social Security benefits can be garnished to pay the loan.
We should have an answer to this. If you get really behind in your car payment or your credit cards, you can file for bankruptcy.
But Congress has made it nearly impossible to discharge student loans through bankruptcy.
Big institutions make big profits while students try to make ends meet under crushing debt.
Is this how we want our education system to work?
The whole point of going to college is to get the career you want, but lately that's been discouraged because no one can afford school. You get a job just to pay off your student loans.
We need higher education, not higher debt.
Sign up to end the student debt crisis at higherednotdebt.org.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
The White House insists no decision made yet on airstrikes inside of Syria. My prediction is by the end of the week. Hello, everybody. Thursday, August 28th. Here we go. Good to have you with us, and thank you for joining us here on the Bill Press Show, coming to you nationwide on your local progressive talk radio station and on Free Speech TV, coming to you worldwide on our video stream, youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKRTV. So much going on here on the international front and on the national front and on the political front. We can't get through it all without the help of some good friends. No better friend than Brad Woodhouse, president of American Bridge, in studio with us again this morning. Very bright and early. Hello, Brad.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me.
You get up early, get started.
I got to get back and get the kids ready for school and for camp, and so
camp's over.
Well, I got one kid in school. One kid starts school next week. So
I got it. Yeah, and we've got another proud father here.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. First week of school for the kids.
They started already.
They've started already. They're both in school. Yeah, first and fourth grade.
I'm glad that I got through school before they started in August, man. It was after,
it's rough, man. It's
after
just like,
Labor Day.
Yeah,
that's the way it used to be.
This is so the kids go to school where I am this week, and then they have Labor Day off. So this whole week is really just sort of
getting ready for holiday.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's right. The kids are thinking, because anytime you have a holiday coming up, the kids are like, we don't have to really do anything until after the holiday, do we?
Yeah. The whole 3-day weekend malaise kicks in like the Wednesday before the 3-day weekend. So they don't get anything done.
I have to confess, I am looking forward to the 3-day weekend.
Same.
August has been August. Some people say August is slow in the political world. In an election year, August is anything but slow. It's been an interesting month.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Carol and I are going to Paris for the weekend.
Are you kidding me?
No,
you're not going to Paris.
We are. So
are you going to Paris?
We're going to Paris.
Really?
Wow. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Weekend trip to Paris.
Paris, Virginia.
Yeah, okay.
You got us.
There had to be a punchline, right?
Got you. Paris, Virginia. Population, Paris, Virginia, 50.
Is that right?
Wow.
I was about to go look at my calendar and say, oh, man, I totally missed something. Okay. Right.
Elisa Murphy here also on the team. Alicia Cruz has the morning off, so Javon Paris is filling in on the phones, and good to have him with us. And Cyprian Boulding, our dependable videographer there on the job, keeping us looking good, but based with what he's got to work for, to work with, it's a real challenge. And Brad, I'm sure you heard about Peter, just took our breath away a couple of days ago, reporting on Josh Shaw, U.S. captain of the USC football team, who did this heroic thing by jumping out of a balcony to save his 7-year-old nephew from drowning in the pool. Sprained both of his ankles, and yesterday.
That's what he said, anyway.
That's what he said. So what's the story now? Did he just jumped out of a balcony into a pool?
We don't know.
We don't know.
He says everything was a total.
He said he made it all up.
Made it all up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, poor guy.
Well, he'll live with that for a while. I mean,
David Pollack on ESPN yesterday says you just can't do this in this day and age.
Right.
You live under a microscope. We know that. We know about the attention, the camera phones, and all that stuff. The truth is going to come out. You can't lie about it. You have to be able to go to your coaches, go to your parents, go to those people when you make a mistake and come clean, because it's going to come out.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, in this day and age, you just can't, make up those type stories.
That's
anymore.
what he put the story out, and immediately people said,
They called the school and said, look into this. And he says he fell. Now, we don't know. I suspect alcohol and sex were involved.
Or at least alcohol. Well, I mean, if alcohol and sex were involved, it's more interesting. But yeah.
All right. But here's one student at USC yesterday talking. They allowed two members of the team to come out and talk to the media. One of them.
He shouldn't have lied about it, but he's a captain here. We should stand by him as a school, and I think he's going to come back from it and represent USC the way he should have.
That's the other thing. He's a team captain.
He's the team captain.
Yeah,
big loss.
Well, and it might have been in his mind why he felt like he had, it felt like he had to lie about the injury, because it was even more magnified. But still, in this day and age, man, you're going to get caught.
And he's had a great run too.
Sure.
Yeah.
So sure.
But how long is he going to be out? Do we know yet?
He's suspended indefinitely.
Whoa. Whoa.
Of course, he's injured.
There is that. I mean, he was already going to be out because of the injury,
right.
but they've said, I imagine it all kind of depends on what was actually going on. But if it turns out that it was some sort of illegal activity.
Maybe you'll find out more from Travis Waldron from Think Progress Sports a little bit later in the hour. And then next hour, Erikka Knutti, Democratic strategist, will be here in studio with us as well. But first,
This is the Full Court
the big
Press.
stories of the day.
Yes, indeed. Just a couple of other stories making news. Suzuki Motors of America has announced that they are recalling about 19,000 of their mid-size sedans, the Kizashi sedans that they sell, because spider webs are blocking the gas vent.
What?
Right?
What?
You'd think in this day and age something as little as a spider
but you
web.
can't have a spider web in every gas vent and every Suzuki.
No, but they're saying that they found spider webs in these gas vents. Not only is it that they already exist, but if spiders do actually put their webs up, then it would be a real problem for the gas vent. The gas vent isn't designed well enough to get through a spider web, so they are recalling them.
That sounds almost incredible.
Yeah, they put out the statement. It's out there. They are recalling, like I said, 19,000 of those mid-size sedans. So if you drive a Suzuki Kizashi, you've been put on notice.
Okay, and I do not.
I don't either.
I do not.
No, but next time I buy a new car, I'm going to look for spiders before I drive
it. That's right. Couple of new possible NHL teams. Sports report. Shoot, now I lost the sports report. Oh, yeah, here it is. Howard Bloom from Sports Business News reports that 4 possible new NHL teams are coming, Las Vegas being one of them, Quebec, Seattle, and Toronto adding a second NHL team. They already have the Maple Leafs. They're going to add another NHL team. They're saying that the goal here is to have the teams up and operational in 2017.
Which must mean that hockey is gaining in popularity, I guess, right?
It must be. Or they're trying to find markets where it will.
Right,
which may be.
I think it'll do pretty well in Las Vegas, for obvious reasons. Another thing to gamble on.
Right, there you go.
And how would you like to have Taco Bell for the rest of your life? They are giving 11 customers a lifetime supply of free food to Taco Bell. What they're doing is they are releasing 11 unique dollar bills in 11 different United States cities. They're then putting that serial number on their website, so if you go and check your dollar bill against that, and you have the winning dollar bill, then you will be given a $10,000 gift card to Taco Bell, which they say is enough for life. Based on that figure, that means $216 per year for 46 years. The odds of winning are 1 in $2.4 billion. $2.4 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. There are 11
$1
$1. Do you have to spend it at the Taco Bell? Or
you don't.
Okay, all right.
They put it into circulation in the.
So at least they increase the odds a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You don't have to be spending it
at
the
Taco Bell.
There are 2 things wrong with this. Number 1, you have to go to a Taco Bell. Number 2, you have to go back to the
rest for the rest of your life. Yeah. Can't they just give me the $10,000?
Exactly.
I promise I'll eat there a couple times.
Okay. So Brad Woodhouse, the Koch brothers, they have these big secret gatherings at least once a year where even members of the Supreme Court and big-time Republican politicians come in thinking they're coming in under the radar, and they can say anything they want and suck up to the Koch brothers, and sometimes they get caught. Mitch McConnell got caught, right?
He did. Mitch McConnell got caught. Tom Cotton, the Republican candidate for Senate in Arkansas, Jody Ernst, Cory Gardner,
Marco Rubio, I think.
And there were a bunch of leaders. I think some of the most interesting comments came from some of the leaders of Koch-funded organizations. So it was interesting. It was audio that was obtained by Undercurrent, which is a YouTube channel. Lauren Windsor, Mike Lux, American Family Voices, underwrites a lot of her work, and they ain't saying exactly where they got it from, but it's out there, and I think it was a real blockbuster. One is thematically in terms of in terms of what Democrats are saying about this election. I mean, Democrats are running on a lot of things, but one of the things running on is progressive economic issues. And every single progressive economic issue that the president supports, that Democrats support, the Koch brothers want to do away with in a radical way. Not don't increase the minimum wage, eliminate the minimum wage. It's not don't expand Social Security benefits, dismantle Social Security. It's voucherize Medicare. And so the fact that all of these Senate candidates, Mitch McConnell included, went to worship at their throne and then pledge. I mean, Mitch McConnell said, I tell you what, if we take over the Senate, we're not bringing up stuff like the minimum wage. And it's going to smell bad to constituents back home that they are pledging things that they will do for the Koch brothers while they're not doing things that they should be doing for their constituents.
So Mitch McConnell making that pledge and saying basically he will continue to obstruct
Correct.
everything that President Obama wants, and then Tim Cotton bragging about his vote against the Farm Bill.
Well, yeah. So Tom Cotton.
Tom Cotton.
So Tom Cotton went out there. There's an interesting story. I learned a lot about what's important to people in states. Tom Cotton went and talked to the Koch brothers and missed a very important event in Arkansas called the Pink Tomato Festival. Don't miss it if you're in Arkansas.
World famous.
And don't miss it if you're running. It's actually gained some traction. And then during that same conference, Tim Phillips, who runs Americans for Prosperity, went on at great length about how courageous it was for Tom Cotton to vote against the Farm Bill. Well, Tom Cotton was the only member of the Arkansas delegation, House, Senate, Democrat, Republican, to vote against the Farm Bill. The Farm Bill is extremely important in the state of Arkansas. Well, Tom Cotton got an ovation from the Koch brothers and their friends out at this secret conference. I don't think an ovation for voting against the interest of your state is going to go over very well.
Right. I mean, so has the power of the Koch brothers, the influence of the Koch brothers, increased? They just seem to be active on more fronts and throwing more money out.
Well, it's interesting. Since Harry Reid and since American Bridge and others have really shown a spotlight on the Koch brothers, they've actually, it has not made them retreat. Actually, Charles Koch in particular has come out of his shell. He's had op-eds in various newspapers, including the Wall Street Journal. They have a conference this weekend in Dallas where apparently he's actually going to gonna open himself up to questions from the press or the media. At least that was reported earlier. So I think that they're not retreating; they're coming out. But one thing is we're really shining a spotlight on what they're about. I mean, they want to roll back environmental regulations. Well, why? Because they own a bunch of refineries and they own a bunch of companies and subsidiaries that want to pollute more. So they don't want anything done on climate. They don't want anything done on the environment. They don't want anything done to clean the air up because it might cost them a few more pennies on the dollar to do that.
Right.
It also seems that more and more attention is being paid to them these days, and it certainly seems to have only made their habits even more dangerous, right? They haven't backed off at all.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting look back on the spending in this, in this cycle. The outside spending, I think on both sides, will dwarf the spending from the actual parties.
Committees.
The Koch brothers, in particular, between Freedom Partners, which is a super PAC that they have set up, Americans for Prosperity, Concerned Veterans of America, which is just a front group to bash the ACA. All the spending that they do will in and of itself dwarf what the Republican Party does in the midterm election, or at least exceed it. And we have to look back though. They pounded Kay Hagan for months on the Affordable Care Act, and the net result is that her numbers. Her numbers dropped. I think her numbers may have dropped anyway. A lot of Democrats' numbers dropped during the fiasco of the website. But they've rebounded, and net effect is that they changed her numbers over time by a couple tenths of a point. Mm-hmm. And so and she is in as good a shape as a candidate in North Carolina in the environment we're in now in a midterm election. I think could be. I mean, she's a few points up or tied. And so, and they spent millions of dollars to get that. So I think they're spending a lot of money. They're tying a lot of people up. We need to respond to them. But the question is, in the end, how effective is it? They spent a lot of money in 2012 too, on Mitt Romney.
Yeah,
who, by the way, may be running for president again. Oh,
I know.
My lips to God's ear, right?
Yeah. I thought of when I heard about the Mitch McConnell comments to the Koch brothers and that the audio tape. I thought right away the 47%.
Oh yeah,
Mitt Romney.
absolutely, absolutely.
They
I mean,
they never learn.
They well, look. I mean, they particularly when they're out, they're all out there basically asking for money, asking for more. For more spending, and that's fine. That's what politicians do. But at the same time, they were pledging to be really radical. I mean, basically, Mitch McConnell went out there and, he's talking about tying up the Senate, obstructing the president, shutting down the government, and then to suggest in a state where a lot of people could use a raise in Kentucky, I'll never bring something to the floor that pathetic legislation that Democrats bring, like raising the minimum wage. Why would I ever do that?
Won't even bring it up for consideration.
Right.
22 minutes after the hour now. Brad Woodhouse with us from American Bridge, and we have we now know who officially the two candidates for governor in Florida will be. We'll talk about that race and a lot more with Brad when we come back at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Grunt work. Love it, hate it, useful, not useful.
Necessary.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
I will say that I think is a challenge for anyone, especially the new workforce as they come in, is the ability to accept grunt work with grace.
The most boring, awful details are the most important elements of doing this work. From the way you save names in your Rolodex to the way you bank and you deposit checks. The truth is, this work isn't glamorous, it's rewarding. You don't go into this for the glamour, you go into it for the impact. And so it takes that determination to do the scut work to actually get anywhere.
It can be really challenging in a first job for someone who's coming out of finishing school to have the enthusiasm that they do to make the type of social impact that they've dreamed of. And now they're here in this first job and all of a sudden they're shouldered with all this grunt work. And they don't understand and they don't get it and they're resentful.
Talk more about the power of answering phones.
Sure, I did that myself, took out the trash, cleaned offices when I had to, and it's all good. There's power in being a good team player and in being somebody who sometimes has to support other people's leadership before you get to have your own moment in the sun.
Is it hard to wait?
It is absolutely hard to wait, especially if you're an alpha female like I am.
I think grunt work can help a new employee build trust internally and teach them the nuances of how an organization is run so that they can have a real good sense of what HR is doing, what finance is doing, what all the other departments are, and that actually makes them a better employee in the long run.
So in my role on a daily basis, I literally can be looking at a new venture in software. We could be looking at a microfinance deal. I could be making coffee, taking out the trash, and riding a tractor on any given day.
Have you found people who thought it was demeaning that they were given this job, work in the front office and make the coffee when they graduated with all A's from this great university? And,
yeah, people like that just don't last very long in our world. If your approach to life is that, you're so smart and you're such a fabulous entrepreneur that you can't understand why people aren't giving you opportunities, it's really hard to advance.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Whoa, already 27 minutes after the hour here. Time flies when we're having fun with Brad Woodhouse.
Sure does.
Here. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Mitt Romney for president. Anyway, that's another show. Mitt Romney for president. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. We have 1 minute left. I'm going to divide it in two. 30 seconds on Charlie Crist, Democratic candidate in Florida.
Well, we're really excited about the race in Florida. Really excited about some governor's races. We have the potential to beat Scott Walker. We're going to beat Tom Corbett in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And in Florida, we've got Charlie Crist, who saw the light, became a Democrat. He's a supporter of the president's.
I like him.
Rick Scott is one of the most unpopular politicians in all of America, and it's well deserved. He's done little for the state of Florida. He's done nothing for immigrants there. He doesn't believe in climate change, even though parts of Florida are beginning to fall into the Atlantic and the Gulf. So we think we have a real good shot there.
And the other thing is the Republican Party itself has come out with a poll looking at how they're doing among women.
Not very well.
Shock.
I mean, it is. What timing for us as Democrats, progressives, to have their own data about how poorly they're doing with women.
After all their promises, we're going to reach out.
Well, I mean, they've doubled down on this notion that they want to run up the score in 2014, and they're appealing to angry white men, and they're anti-immigrant, they're minority voting rights, and all this.
That's it. Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
Great job. As
all
always.
right.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
The Bill Press Show.
Over 1 million people have chosen.
When I started learning about nutrition, about which, by the way, much less is known than you might think, I learned that what mattered most about one's health was not necessarily the nutrients, good or bad, that you were consuming or staying away from, or even the calorie counts. But what predicted a healthy diet more than anything else is the fact that it was being cooked by a human being and not a corporation. Corporations cook very differently than people do. They use vast amounts of salt, fat, and sugar, much more than you would ever use in your own cooking. And the reason they do that is those are three incredibly attractive and incredibly cheap ingredients. And when they're layered properly, as in a chip or pastries and forms of junk food, they're incredibly addictive. They really press our buttons. They activate our dopamine network, our cravings. And in fact, people in the industry, they don't talk about addiction in the food industry, even though they traffic in addiction. They talk about craveability. It's the same thing. And snackability is another term they use. It's a lovely word. And then the last point about corporate cooking that's important to understand is they cook different stuff than you do at home. What they're good at, in general, they don't cook that well, but things like chips, they cook incredibly well. And here's a classic food that if you make it yourself, if you've ever made French fries, you have to wash the potatoes, you have to peel the potatoes, you have to slice the potatoes, you have to fry them in a lot of oil, you have to spatter your entire stovetop, you have to clean up, and then you have this pot of oil you have to get rid of. I mean, it's really difficult, and it's a pain. They're wonderful, but it's a pain. And if you make them yourself, you'll only eat them every 6 weeks, 2 months, because it's too much work. But when you let corporations cook for you, it's so simple and so inexpensive, and they're really good, that you will have them twice a day, as many people in America do. So you see the kinds of foods you end up with are these labor-intensive foods and desserts. These special occasion foods become everyday foods when we let industry cook for us. Eat anything you want, just cook it yourself.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour, Thursday, August 28th, The Bill Press Show, coming to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. And brought to you today by the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, the good men and women of the Teamsters Union. Helping build a better America. We all live better because of their good work under President Jim Hoffa. And we thank them for their support and salute them. And you can find out more about their good work at their website, teamster.org. All right, sports fans, lots happening in the sports world. And for that, we always turn to our good friend, frequent guest, not often enough, but he's here again this morning, Travis Waldron. Covers sports for Think Progress. Hello, Travis. What's going on?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
Everything good?
Everything's good with me. I don't know about the sports world.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's up and down in the sports world. But I want to start with the best story of all, I think, out of Chicago. Big, huge parade in Chicago yesterday to welcome home the Jackie Robinson West team. And here is their captain, Pierce Jones, from the south side of Chicago.
On behalf of me and everybody else, we just want to say thank you for all the support. We saw most of it from down there, and we just want to say thank you, and we love you.
This is a great story, isn't it? You know,
it's awesome.
And they're the U.S. champs. Everybody said, well, they lost to South Korea. No, they're the U.S. champs, right? They won the World Series of Little League.
It's such a great story, and for a sport that has talked so much about the problem of drawing in more African American players, to see a little league of all African, a team of all African American players is excellent, and to see the way that the black major leaguers have rallied around them, and the way some of Chicago's big players have rallied around them, Derrick Rose and Jay Cutler, and guys like that donating things to the team and money to help their parents travel. It's an excellent story. And I was really rooting for them in the final so they could win the whole thing. But they were so fun to watch. They weren't just. I kept telling everyone all through. Everyone was talking about Monet Davis, which you should, because she was awesome. But that Jackie Robinson team was just so much fun. They never stopped running around the bases. They were so cool. When there was I can't remember his name, Ed something. When he came in to pitch in the semifinal against the Las Vegas team or one of the other games, and he just walked in and he was like, I got it. It's all good. And it was like, just watching him, it was like, I would have been so nervous as a 12-year-old, and he just walked up there and got the 3 outs in a row and was like, okay, it's over.
When was the last time we paid this much attention to a Little League series? Between the story of Monet Davis and this team, it's been I actually watched some. I never watched.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and I know that the ratings were way up.
Yeah.
They've been having ratings problems with the Little League World Series, and they were way up. And between this team, the Monet Davis, and then that Las Vegas team, which was just, never stopped hitting.
Right.
I think they hit like 450 as a team for the World Series, which is absurd. It was a great series. It's fun. I actually stumbled on the Little League World Series last year. I was up in Rochester covering a soccer store, working on a soccer story, and my route back to D.C. just took me through Williamsport right when the World Series was going on.
Oh,
I was like,
just happened to.
Baseball guy. I had to stop.
Yeah.
Sat there for a game and a half, and it's a great, wonderful event. And it's fun to watch. And when you get good stories like the three that we had at this World Series, which the South Korea team too, this is the only second time they've ever been to the World Series. They won both times. They've never lost a game at the World Series. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, the Chicago, it's just such a great experience to see that. And I just, the people who supported this team, they've had a long haul, right? But the people, and it's a tough area, but boy, they really showed that they can come together as a community. And my challenge, my ice bucket challenge early this morning to President Obama is, okay, I've been to many events at the White House where he welcomes the championship athletic teams to the White House, in the East Room and the Rose Garden and the South Lawn. This is his people, right? Meaning his part of Chicago,
right?
And they deserve a White House
you'd
tour.
Think they would
not tour. They deserve a White House ceremony.
You'd think they would, and I know like they've gotten the attention of a lot of the major league players too.
Yeah.
Adam Jones was talking about it from the Orioles.
So I challenge the president and invite him. He's got to invite the Jackie Robinson West to the White House.
And then you'll have to get me in the door that day that I can go.
You will go with me
because I know you have connections.
You will go. You will go with me as my assistant that day.
All right, there we go.
It's all right. When it happens.
Special assistant to Mr. Press.
Yes. All right. No, we could do that. Yeah. Now you mentioned Monet, both of you, Monet Davis, who was incredible as well. Another young woman star popped up yesterday. The CC Bellis, 15-year-old at the U.S. Open, just knocked everybody's socks off.
It's great. And I think she plays again tonight. She plays again second tonight. Round, and she's the youngest American winner in like 30 years. And
stories like that are so
youngest winner since Anna Kournikova in like 1995 or 96, I think. And it's just like it's phenomenal seeing these stories. And the one thing I will say about her is I hope we let her grow though. Well, we're so desperate.
Yeah.
We've been so desperate in both the men's and women's game for like the next who's going to follow Venus and Serena, who's going to follow still looking for whoever's going to follow Andy Roddick and the next great American male player, and it's just like let's just enjoy this. Let's not like try to anoint her as because we did that to Sloane Stephens and now she's struggling a little bit and like let's just
good point. Now look consider Venus Williams played her first time in the U.S. Open 15 years ago. That's when CC Bellis was born.
Right.
Wow.
Think about that.
That's amazing.
Passing the torch. And I saw her yesterday, this young woman, a young girl. She said she doesn't want to, she turned down the money because she wants to stay amateur and have all of her options in front of her. Good for her. And good for her parents, giving her that kind of advice. Don't jump too soon.
The stories in tennis of people who do that are not hard to find. Jennifer Capriati, way back when she turned pro at like 13 and then kind of flamed out and then came back. And so I hope that she and her parents and her coaches and the media and everyone kind of like enjoy the story, but give her a chance. And maybe hopefully in a few years she will be that next kind of phenom. Because I think American tennis needs that.
Absolutely.
I think the men's game has shown that if tennis is going to be major in this country, we need an American.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of getting bored with Roger and Rafa and the whole crew in the men's game. But, we've had that in the women's game with Venus and Serena. But I think as they kind of age out, then we're going to need – I hope there's someone else coming behind them. But we got to let them get there. I don't want to rush people.
All right, Travis Waldron is here from Think Progress Sports. and thinkprogress.org. So, Travis, we've been waiting all day for you to come in so you can tell us because we're so curious. So what really happened with Josh Shaw?
I have no idea.
Travis, you let us down, man.
You're waiting all day. The sun's not even up yet. I just got out of bed like 20 minutes ago.
All right, but we do know he did not jump out off the balcony
he did not save his drowning nephew or Manti Te'o's girlfriend or I don't know. This story, I don't know whether to be like
pretty bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't really know how to feel about it. Like when everyone was kind of tweeting out the report yesterday, I kind of just closed my computer and walked away because I didn't know. Like, I don't want to pile on the kid. But I also am really curious as to what the real story is and how you get from point A, which is sprained ankles, to point whatever it is where you tell your coach that you saved drowning children.
Right.
And it's like...
Whatever. He sprained his ankle doing something he should not have been doing.
Right.
Or would be embarrassed to have been doing.
Or why would he make up a story like this?
Or otherwise, why make up a story?
And I really hope that it's not something terrible.
Yeah.
I hope it's something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And not terrible.
Right, like did it on a dare or like tried to jump into a pool and didn't.
I don't think he jumped off the balcony at all.
No?
No. Okay. I'm telling you, alcohol and sex.
You're only saying that because that's how you broke your ankles that time.
No, it's how I want to break my ankle.
I'm staying out of it.
Yeah,
I'm not getting in trouble today.
That's probably wise.
All right. Before we take a break, how about them Nats? I mean, they didn't do too well last night, but 7.5 games up.
It's just nice that people in D.C. are still paying attention to baseball.
I am glad.
Wait, with good reason.
With great reason. The Nats are a fun team.
Yeah,
they're great. I'm going to sit here and put a smile on my face
Don't
and
ask
say
about the Braves.
All the nice possible things I can say about the Washington Nationals, just for you.
Don't ask me about the Braves.
The Braves won last night. Thanks.
Oh, they won last night? Oh, good. Good to know.
Yeah.
I
They're
for
still
one,
7.5
I
down.
for
6.5.
6.5. All right,
I for one am glad.
And one game out of the wild card.
that they're, at least for a little while, we took a little break from the bottom of the ninth, bottom of the 11th.
Oh, yeah.
No, they've been fun, though. I will
it's
say.
Been fun, but it's been
the Nats have put together a great little season. And I will say that I was a little bit of a skeptic of them coming into this season when they were getting a lot of love. And there are still parts of the Nats that are very popular that I'm skeptical of.
Okay.
But I think they've put together a nice little season, and I'd love to see them win it all.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know if
Save that tape.
I don't know if I mean that at all. But I'm saying that for you, Bill.
He's come a long way here. We're working on him. Okay. More of the sports world coming up here, including Josh Gordon, suspended for entire season for pot? Oh, what's going on? Back with Travis Waldron. Join us anytime at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Two anti-government, self-described revolutionaries have shot up a pizza restaurant as well as a Walmart in Las Vegas.
The internationally syndicated political series, The David Pakman Show, provides progressive talk, analysis, and interviews with the nation's youngest radio and television host, David Pakman. Find out more and catch up on all the latest episodes by visiting our website at freespeech.org.
The most important issue on this planet right now is to protect and conserve biodiversity in the world's oceans. And I don't think people realize just how intimate our connection is with the oceans themselves. Not only do they provide the very foundation of life and control our weather, but life just simply could not exist without a healthy ocean. The real problem, though, is apathy. It's all out of sight. It's all out of mind, and people don't even think about it. But it doesn't matter whether you live in Peoria or on the coast. The fact is, whatever happens in the ocean affects all life forms on the planet Earth. If the oceans die, then civilization collapses. We all die. We cannot live on this planet without the oceans. This is, in fact, not the planet Earth. It's the planet ocean, but because we're a land-dwelling species, we refer to it as Earth. But it is the planet ocean, and the oceans are the heart and the foundation of all life on the planet.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Talking politics in the next hour with Kyle Kondik from the Center for Politics down at the University of Virginia and Democratic strategist Erikka Knutti. Right now we're talking sports with Travis Waldron from Think Progress, thinkprogress.org. So what about this Josh Gordon? Suspended, I mean, seriously, in this day and age, suspended for a year for pot?
That's how it works.
Yeah, but excessive, huh? No?
It does. It's very excessive, I think. But it is under the collectively bargained drug agreement. I'm not sure Roger Goodell or the NFL had much of a choice. I think that the fact that Josh Gordon's suspension was held up was kind of a statement that they didn't believe his story, and they weren't gonna reduce his suspension because of that. Now, I think a lot of people have made this.
Was it routine drug testing that?
It's convoluted drug testing process, but yes, he failed a test. A lot of people are making this comparison to the Ray Rice suspension, the 2 games versus 16 games, which I think is more of a flashpoint for Ray Rice.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to Josh Gordon, the questions are, why does the NFL care about marijuana to the extent that it does? Why did the union ever agree to this?
Right.
Because this was collectively bargained.
But there is a question about why do they care about pot more than they care about wife beating?
Definitely.
Or domestic abuse.
Right.
She's now his wife.
Right. But I think there are a ton of questions just in the drug testing question.
Yeah.
Just in the drug testing issue that are totally unrelated to Ray Rice. I think Josh Gordon is a much more valid comparison for Ray Rice when you're talking about the Ray Rice suspension. In that question of why do you care so much more about marijuana than you do hurting other people, especially women, because they have not shown a very serious side to that.
Not at all. Right.
But I just think my big questions for coming out of the Josh Gordon thing are why. Like I said, why do you care? Why do we still care about marijuana the way that the NFL does? What's it actually accomplish? This is one of the most exciting players in the NFL, and he's gone now for a year. And is that good for the league? Is that actually something that you're gaining something?
That I think is the best argument here. I mean, look, the whole witch hunt over marijuana in the NFL is dumb, but it's also goes against their best interest.
Right.
This guy, he led the NFL in receiving yards last year.
He has the most receiving yards over his first 2 seasons of his career, with a 4-game marijuana suspension.
Yeah, he already had
than anyone except for Jerry Rice and Randy Moss.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Josh Gordon could be one of the best receivers going forward. And
putting him on the sidelines for a year.
I understand you have to punish him under your policy. I don't understand what this policy actually accomplishes.
And I would never watch a Cleveland Browns game, but I would have maybe watched to see if Manziel is throwing, to Josh Gordon.
And then
I might tune in for that.
And there's the question of Jim Irsay, the Colts owner, who was arrested with apparently a large amount of prescription pills while driving under the influence. And the question there is he going to get what is his punishment going to be? And is there a double standard for players and owners? Is there a double standard for black players and white owners?
That's a good point.
All right, now quickly, before we run out of time, and we just about have, I've got to ask you, so the most hated man probably in the NFL is Dan Snyder. Certainly, personally, I hate more than anybody else, and I've never met him because he won't change the name of his stupid football team, or the stupid name of his football team. But now he's demanding a new stadium? And
that's the word.
Is he going to get it?
Yeah, he'll get it. They always get it. Come on now.
And then are we going to pay for it?
Well, I don't think D.C. taxpayers are going to have to pay for it.
But Virginia
Well, that's the thing. He's hell-bent on keeping a stadium out of D.C.
Did you see the report last night about putting a dome over RFK?
Get out.
But wait a minute. So he wants a stadium where?
Well, he wants a stadium wherever someone will build him a stadium, just like every other owner of every other sports team.
But in this region?
In this region, yes.
So they would remain
He said it could be Maryland, it could be Virginia, it could be D.C. Apparently, he's already talked to Terry McAuliffe, the governor of Virginia, which wouldn't shock me because apparently Bob McDonnell was talking to the team about a new stadium and laying the groundwork there. If I had to guess, I would guess it will end up in Virginia, which is very good news for D.C. taxpayers, even though the D.C. City Council will fall all over itself trying to come up with the money to build a stadium in the district.
No.
I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, they'll try.
They will.
Yeah.
And they will most likely fail because I don't think we can match what Virginia will give. But I think this is a 17-year-old stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
And if this is the direction that stadium financing is going to go.
Holy cow.
Because the Braves, who we mentioned previously, are also building a new stadium after just 17 years in their current home.
Crazy.
We
and
can't
you know what?
Keep going this direction.
Yeah, and taxpayers are going to pay for it. There should not be one dime of public funds in the stadium, no matter where it is. Travis, we're out of time, but not out of fun. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Thank
okay?
you.
All right, Travis Waldron, thinkprogress.org.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, a big third hour coming up here, and we're going to talk politics in our third hour on TawkrTV. We know we lose you on Free Speech TV, so go over to TawkrTV, TAWKRTV, of course, youtube.com/TawkrTV for politics with Erikka Knutti. In studio is a friend of Bill. She's a Democratic strategist, and we'll be joined from the Center for Politics down at the University of Virginia by their managing editor, Kyle Kondik, who will be here in studio with us. All politics coming up, hour number 3 on TawkrTV.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I probably would make a time machine. I would make medicine for the sick. I'd probably invent something new.
我会赢到5个总冠军戒指。
If I could have an extra 5 years to live.
You said 5, right?
5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much.
I would get more hamsters.
I would probably want to go looking for dark matter. I think I'd go looking for aliens. If If I could live an extra 5 years...
I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood.
I want to go check out the moon sometime. I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna.
I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed.
If I had 5 more extra years to live,
I would be the boss of all the chipmunks.
eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas. I don't really know. I think I'd do anything.
Why are you asking me that?
This is the Bill Press Show.
President Obama with a fairly light day at the White House today. We never know what's going on behind the scenes, but on his public schedule today, just 2 big meetings. After he gets a daily briefing this morning, he will meet with the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Sylvia Burwell, in the Oval Office at 2:10. And the only other thing on the official White House calendar today is our briefing with Press Secretary Josh Earnest at 1 p.m. In the next hour, politics. Kyle Kondik from the University of Virginia Center for Politics.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here reporting from Houston, Texas for Climate Desk. Now, one of the biggest uncertainties in climate science right now is the role of clouds. What better way to work that part out than flying right through them? That's what NASA scientists aboard this airplane think. Welcome to NASA's biggest airborne laboratory. You're coming with us today on an 8-hour NASA flight mission.
When you read these big IPCC climate assessments, what's the biggest uncertainty? There's 2, right? The role of aerosols and clouds. Clouds is probably bigger than aerosols.
That is a piece of a puzzle that right now we are missing.
You can't get the models right if you don't understand the chemistry and the process.
Now we're being told we've got to get on. The doors are about to shut, so let's go aboard. Every time you turn on the weather, every time you hear a climate change prediction, that information has to come from somewhere. And it starts by getting sucked out of the air from planes like this.
So this mission is to try to understand the emissions from the surface, so mostly biogenic emissions. So from trees and other plants.
Right now we're flying to our very first part of this experiment on the DC-8. Over Arkansas, there's a particularly pungent bouquet of emissions that scientists are interested in measuring.
Well, these emissions lead to both aerosols and to molecules that both destroy and create ozone. So these are very important things to understand for climate studies.
How it will manifest itself. It will be in more accurate and more reliable predictions.
So what we're doing is taking a series of flyovers, each at a different level of the atmosphere, scooping up those emissions, testing them, and hopefully scientists are going to see exactly what's in this column of air all the way up.
The data that we collect in one flight can keep busy 60 scientists and students for 3 years, 4 years. We're still studying data from data collected 20 years ago.
In fact, this particular mission today is its most heavily equipped in its nearly 30 years of service. Each one of these consoles here is a specially equipped scientific instrument designed to collect all sorts of different data in real time.
And this instrument here tracks the sun.
We're looking at mist chambers. They're used to strip soluble gases.
This black line is the CO2. It's about 390 ppm right now.
We're putting these filters in the bags and we've got the aerosols that we trapped out of a certain amount of air. And so we're sampling up here about 150 liters a minute.
That ultimately flows back into the operational models. It flows back into what goes on TV every day.
Anyway, I got to get this sample going.
You do it. It's a busy man at work. We can't let him rest. Well, get this. We've just spent 2 hours crisscrossing this one cloud formation. In, back out again, back in again.
Then they grow, and we track them as long as we can, and then we let it go.
Even one cloud can hold a host of answers to the mysteries of climate change.
The patterns of, where the clouds are, what type of clouds we see, what kind of weather systems they're associated with it, that'll all be shifting in a shifting climate, in a world with climate change.
Then the big spark is when we actually get the meat on the grill. And then it will be some time to process it.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
On a Thursday, August 28th, we are pumped up and ready to, fired up, that's the word, and ready to go. Hello, everybody. Great to see you and great to have you with us here on your local progressive talk radio station on a Thursday morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Bill Press Show. We are live at our nation's capital and with you wherever you are in this great land of ours. And on your, again, your local radio station or on the TuneIn app or the iHeart Radio app. And worldwide, we're with you on our video stream, of course, at TawkrTV. You want to see what it all looks like? Go to your website, youtube.com/TawkrTV, TawkrTV. Big day with a lot going on the international front and the national front as well. Briefing it today at the White House. I'll be there. I'll tell you all about that tomorrow. But the news of the day right now, and your calls always welcome at 866-55-PRESS. Your comments welcome on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy leading up the team today.
We're here.
Hey, happy Thursday.
Yes, indeed. Glad to see a Thursday here. Alicia Cruz, the day off, and Javon Paris is here to take your calls. Got those calls covered at 866-55-PRESS. And our video stream out there booming worldwide at the hands of our videographer, Cyprian Bolding, this morning as well. Big news. We've talked this morning about how exciting it was to see that Jackie Robinson West team win the U.S. Championship, U.S. Little League Championship in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And the big parade yesterday in Chicago, ending up at Millennium Park. Very heartwarming to see so many people in Chicago turn out with such pride for that team from the south side of Chicago. And the other big story yesterday, also heartwarming, was this girl from, we can still call her a girl, she's 15, from San Francisco. Cece Bellis is her name. And she won around the U.S. Open yesterday, plays again tonight, took the world by storm, and here she is afterward.
It's crazy to think that I'm actually here right now with all these other people. I mean, I never thought that I would be practicing, or sharing a court with, a player that I watch on TV frequently. I mean, it's crazy, but I love it. Yeah,
really crazy. She won $60,000 yesterday, and she, at least potentially, she turned it down because she wants to remain an amateur, does not want to turn pro at the age of 15. Very smart decision on her part.
Yeah.
I saw the manager of the U.S. Open yesterday saying that it really kind of upset things in a sense because she was like on the sixth court, the one that nobody like pays attention to.
Oh, wow.
And suddenly word got around, what is this phenomenon? This 15-year-old is cleaning up the opposition. And they had to shift all the cameras.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
They
didn't have
funny.
any cameras coming in that game because they thought nobody was going to. This is a non-event, right?
Stole the show.
Suddenly it became the big event at the time. So
that's cool.
Yeah, really great. Lots going on here. We'll get right to the news of the day. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. We heard that Burger King and Tim Hortons are officially merging. Who is Tim Horton? What is the Tim Hortons chain all about? Vox.com took a look at who Tim Hortons, the company, what they are all about. This is how popular they are in Canada. For starters, when Canada had a new Royal Canadian Mint coin that they wanted to distribute, they only did it through Tim Hortons in 2004.
No, really?
You look at Starbucks here in America.
That's
right?
how big they are.
That's how big they are. They knew that would be the most effective way to get it out. You look at Starbucks here in America, right? Here in America, there is one Starbucks coffee shop for every 28,000 Americans. Seems like a lot. By contrast, in Canada, there is one Tim Hortons for every 9,500 Canadians. Tim Hortons is everywhere in Canada.
It's a big deal.
It's a bit, yeah. Alicia, you can back me up on
now,
that.
you're from Canada, right?
Yep.
Have you ever been in a Tim Hortons before?
Yeah, I have. Like when you're heading up to Whistler to go skiing, it's like the only place open at 5:30 or 6, and you can get their donut holes are called Timbits.
Timbits.
And they're very, very good. It's very much worth a trip up to Canada just for the Timbits.
Timbits.
I don't think so, but at any rate, all right.
Fans of the TV show Friends, which is no longer on the air, hasn't been on the air for a long, long time, can get a little taste of Friends at home. Entertainment Weekly reports that Warner Brothers and 8 O'Clock Coffee will commemorate the show's 20th anniversary by opening up a pop-up replica of Central Perk, the coffee shop in which all of the friends hung out at. In fact, they're bringing in the actual orange couch from the show that all of the friends sat on. They're giving away coffee for free there, and none of the actual main cast members from Friends will make an appearance as of yet.
That's fun. That'll be fun. That'll catch on.
Yeah. And Holly Griffiths is a big Manchester United fan. She went in to go, the soccer team, she went in to go make a bet on her favorite team, Manchester United, because they were playing the MK Dons last week. And Manchester United was expected to roll over the MK Dons, but they did not. They lost.
Whoa.
Holly Griffiths, however, found out that she actually bet on the wrong team. She made a mistake and bet on the MK Dons. It cost her $4 to make the bet, and in the end, because she made the mistake, she ended up winning about $2,500.
Oh.
So maybe it pays to not pay attention.
How about that? All right. Yeah. Yes, indeed. 13 minutes now. 13 minutes after the hour here. On the political front, a lot's going on these days with, 36 Senate races with 21 Democrats up for re-election or else holding some open Democratic seats they're trying to hold on to. 15 Republican seats up for grabs, a total again of 36, plus 36 governor's races around the country, most notably in Florida, where we found out this week in the primary, the Tuesday primary, that Charlie Crist will be the Democratic candidate, and of course Rick Scott, the incumbent Republican governor, was running for re-election. And the other big political news yesterday, an audio tape secretly made at the most recent gathering of the Koch brothers out at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Orange County, California. On Father's Day, Mitch McConnell showed up. He'd rather be with the Koch brothers than back home in Kentucky.
Sorry, kids.
And Mitch McConnell basically telling the Koch brothers he would do anything they wanted if he were reelected to the United States Senate. Of course, he's done almost anything they've wanted so far. Why should we be surprised? Taking a look at the political front across the board with us, Democratic strategist joining us in studio, Erikka Knutti. Hi, Erikka. Nice to see you.
Hi. Happy.
Hey, thanks for coming in.
Happy to be here.
Mitch McConnell, he's not the only one who showed up, but basically the Koch brothers hold their parties and, members of the Supreme Court, the United States Senate, they all just come and say.
Why not, right? I mean, I guess Father's Day is a family day, so why not be with family?
Yeah,
I mean,
brothers, the Koch brothers, right?
Yeah,
right? I mean, really, when you work that closely together as a group, I feel like you should come together, break bread together, and really celebrate your unity.
But really shows who Mitch McConnell and the Republican Party are working for, right?
Well, I mean, Mitch McConnell's in the fight for his life. This is a race that shouldn't be this close for him. I'm sure after Eric Cantor losing his seat in Virginia, he is even more on edge, and he's not taking anything for granted. Anyone who's got a check, I'm sure, anybody who can help put boots on the ground or put ads on air, he is going to be checking with and checking in on. I mean, he had to, after the Tea Party and a lot of the kind of more new conservative money groups split from him during the primary,
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of an acrimonious split. He's got to just make sure that he circles back and that collects as much of that money as possible, because Allison Lundergan Grimes is raising money left and right. I mean, she's a really strong candidate.
Allison Lundergan Grimes entered the first grade the same year that Mitch McConnell entered the United States Senate.
I tell everybody, there's no bigger contrast than these two. I mean, she's, this young woman, small, young family, bright, up and coming, and he's this old white man who's angry at immigrants and hates health care.
And looks like a turtle.
Right, and looks like
No, there was one.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
One of the Tea Party candidates in the primary, I'm not being mean by saying, actually ran an ad calling him the turtle or something like that because they said he looked like a turtle.
Oh.
No.
I mean, I don't feel bad. What am I kidding?
No.
Some people have, I think you have kind of like a spirit animal everybody has, like where you can identify with an animal. Mitch McConnell's is a turtle.
That's fair.
I love the Alice in Wonderland. One of her favorite lines in the campaign is, I'm only 35, but that's Mitch McConnell's approval number in Kentucky.
Oh, whoa, man. That's good.
35.
I mean, if you look back in the spring, I haven't checked on it in the last month or two, but Obamacare's approval ratings are higher than Mitch McConnell's in Kentucky.
Yeah, right.
So that's going to be interesting for him. I mean, people in Kentucky have really bad health problems. They're some of the worst in the country. And when you look at how well Kentucky's done on the state exchanges, people now have health insurance.
The most successful state exchange in the country.
Probably. I mean, it has to be.
Yeah.
I think 50% of their uninsured population is now insured. Something astronomical. They've really been leading the country. Something that you should be proud of. Absolutely. But, running against the president, running against Obamacare isn't going to work there.
And then Mitch McConnell made the pretty embarrassing gaffe, very embarrassing gaffe, by saying, well, we're going to get rid of Obamacare, but Kentucky Care will continue, right?
Which doesn't quite work like that.
Doesn't quite work like that,
Right.
right? No, exactly. Also, I want to ask you about Florida. So now, can we trust Charlie Crist, former Republican, to be our Democratic candidate in Florida?
I think we can trust him a lot more than we can trust Rick Scott. When you look at Crist's policies, and I think this is, he's late to the party, but I'm okay with that. Just as long as you finally make it, I'm all right.
As long as you show up.
As long as you show up. Says the person who's late. But But honestly, I mean, if you look at where a lot of Republicans have been over the last 20 years, policies that would have made you solidly a moderate to conservative Republican now make you a Democrat. And so if we are the big tent party that I believe we are, where we are willing to take ideas from all different walks of life and different places, that we are a party that is a home for people that want to do work, want government to work, then I'm open arms.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick Scott has been terrible for the state of Florida. Really draconian. I mean, this is a guy who had the largest fraud settlement against Medicare in the history of Medicare. He looks like, speaking of things that you look like, he looks like a Marvel comic villain. But he's also, the drug testing for unemployment insurance, which was found to be unconstitutional, and they had to stop. Not only was it wasteful in terms of money, it cost so much money to actually implement, but it was, also kind of violated people's rights. Yeah. So in terms of Rick Scott versus Charlie Crist, I'll go Charlie Crist every day.
Yeah,
no problem.
No, I would too. I like Charlie Crist, and I mean, I think he was a good governor for Florida. He was a Republican. He's turned around on a lot of issues.
A lot, yeah.
But he's come in the right direction. Then as an independent, and I think he's probably the strongest candidate that we've got down there. So
well, and I think Florida's not an easy state. It's when you look at the Panhandle versus then like Miami and some of the southern, and you have these big tech areas, but then you have very rural areas with large unemployment and very difficult economic dynamics. It's a state that requires a lot of consensus building, and you can't be a demagogue in a state that has those kind of issues. And Charlie Crist's record working with state politicians, getting stuff done, reaching across the aisle, I like it.
Right.
Florida is not a state. Florida is its own little nation, right? Like it's not part of the South. It's not. It's Florida.
It's definitely not Southern.
It's just Florida.
It's a weird dynamic because so many people have moved there, aren't from there. So Florida's this kind of like catch-all for what? I mean, I think 40% of the population. How do I even remember these numbers? Have moved there and migrated there.
Oh, easily. Easily. I think maybe even harder. What was it? Ronnie Musgrove, who was in the studio with us, former governor, Democratic governor of Mississippi. Yes, there was at one time a Democratic governor of Mississippi, not so long ago. But as he says about Florida, the farther south you go, the more in Florida, the farther south you go, the more north you get.
Right, because it's the north. It's northerners who want tan.
Right.
I mean, it's
escaping. The
Minnesota
Northwest.
winters. New York winters. I get it. My aunt and uncle go down there in the winter from Minnesota. I think they put in enough time up in Minnesota. They've earned the right to a sunny winter. I'm okay with that.
And it's also, it's extremely rural in some areas.
very rural and not great farmland. So it's an interesting, whereas a lot of rural America and a lot of our rural policies are based around farming, it doesn't really fit the bill in Florida. It's
in the rural areas, they just have boa constrictors and crocodiles.
Things that are trying to kill you. They're like the Australia of America, where you everywhere you go, there's danger.
Erikka Knutti here, a Democratic strategist with us in the studio here this half hour. Join the conversation at 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
is the Bill Press Show.
On a Thursday, August 28, Erikka Knutti, Democratic strategist, in studio with us. We'll be joined at the half hour by Kyle Kondik from the University of Virginia Center for Politics. Works with Larry Sabato down there. Erikka, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand has a new book out.
She does.
She's great. I love her. And she talks in her book about some of the comments made to her by male senators, especially 4 of them. She's had a little weight problem. She's lost some weight. I think
she had 2 kids. She had twins. I mean,
she had twins,
she didn't have a weight problem. She had babies.
Right. So one of these male senators comes up to her after she had lost 50 pounds, puts his hands on her waist, and says to her, "Don't lose too much weight now. I like my girls chubby." She also talks about when she was in the House, a Southern member of the House told her, quote, "You know, Kirsten, you're even pretty when you're fat." I mean, this stuff goes on.
By the way, if there was ever a more Southern compliment, I've never heard of one better than that. You're even pretty when you're fat, sugar.
Yeah.
No, it does. Actually, I remember when that comment happened, I was working for Amy Klobuchar at the time. And so when Kirsten started, she was meeting with a nutritionist and started losing weight and talked about it actually a lot with various reports, women's magazines, about the struggle that she was having, kind of getting back in shape and balancing small children with working and trying to get back in shape. And it's something that everybody, every woman goes through. And I remember when that comment was made, actually. And the thing about a lot of people talk about how great Olympia Snow and Susan Collins are reaching across the aisle with Landrieu and Klobuchar, and the reason is because these women are, as Mikulski used to always say, will truly be equal when there is as many mediocre women senators as there are mediocre men senators. These women are all very exceptional, but they are a minority, and they do work together and stick together. And I remember when this happened, and they do have a kind of a hostile environment sometimes.
All right, we'll be back, Erikka Knutti, with Kyle Kondik coming up next.
Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, 33 minutes after the hour now here. Thursday, August 28th, The Bill Press Show, again live from our nation's capital, our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., brought to you today by AFSCME, the good men and women of AFSCME under President Lee Saunders, the largest public employee and healthcare workers union in the entire country, making America happen. And you can find out more about their good work at their website, afscme.org. That's AFSCME.org. We've been talking politics with Erikka Knutti, Democratic strategist. And as much as we know about politics, here's a man who knows a lot more. Kyle Kondik is the communications director for the great University of Virginia's, well, put it this way, the University of Virginia's great Center for Politics. That's the way I want to say it.
It's a great institution, though, too.
Under Larry Sabato there. Hi, Kyle. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
And Erikka, welcome back here. All right. Now, I want to ask you both the question of the day. I noticed this morning on one of the sites that they took a poll out in Iowa, of course, for 2016. Who do you want to be the Republican nominee for President of the United States? And the front runner with 35% is Mitt Romney. Yes, yes, I want Mitt Romney too. How do I vote? Kyle, is this going to happen?
You know, it just goes to show how wide open a field it is on the Republican side at this point, because I think the fact that Mitt Romney is doing well in these polls just basically shows that he's the best known person, and there's a little bit of buzz about him getting in. And so when people are offered that option, they say, well, I don't really know a lot of these other folks all that well, so I'm going to go with the person that I know. But, you know, I will say that there is a kind of establishment slot in the Republican primary process that is usually filled by the person who gets the nomination. And that slot is wide open because we don't know if any of the, quote, establishment guys are going to be running. Is it going to be a Paul Ryan or a Jeb Bush or someone like that? Mitt Romney would also be that person, hypothetically, if he decided to run. I doubt he would, but who knows?
Right. He left the door open the other day.
He did. Yeah, he did.
His botching of a Dumb and Dumber quote. He's like that dad. He's like your dad all the time. I feel like when I listen to him talk, I'm like, come on, Dad, just spit it out. No, that's not the quote. But, yeah, he didn't rule it out.
But the only thing better than having Mitt Romney would be Mitt Romney run with Paul Ryan as his vice presidential nominee.
Take two.
Take two.
Yeah.
But, I mean, why isn't the establishment slot being filled by Paul Ryan.
I really still believe that a lot of the Republicans on the Hill really want Jeb Bush to run. I mean, that's just my sort of understanding, what I've sort of heard about it. And I don't know if he actually has any interest in doing it, but I think that's the person who a lot of Republicans, at least kind of the senior folks, would prefer. Now, whether that's a good idea or not, I don't know. But that's the name you sort of keep hearing. Whether he decides to run or not, who knows? Do you think
Erikka, Rick Perry's attempts to reinvent himself are working?
No. Like Rick Perry with glasses is still Rick Perry. The stuff he's been doing kind of on the circuit and in these conservative groups is still the fiery rhetoric, still not that smart. And, as much as he doesn't think that this recent, indictment or legal trouble he's got down there is going to be an issue, the mugshot of you as a governor isn't good. So I think it's not going to work. I think that's partially why you see Jeb Bush's name keep coming up, because the field isn't very strong and there isn't a lot of depth. The people that have kind of the electricity with the base isn't necessarily what's good for the party. And like electrifying the base in some instances isn't what the establishment wants. I hear a ton of please Jeb Bush, please Jeb Bush, please Jeb Bush from kind of the K Street class, the super PAC folks, kind of establishment organizers and infrastructure, because he's shown that he can be reasonable, that he governs with a certain amount of gravitas, that he looks like somebody who governs as opposed to somebody who rails with their fists in the air. And that's something that the Republicans don't have a lot of. They don't have a lot of people that look presidential or like statesmen.
Yeah.
You have to kind of have that air.
Ted Cruz, the one who can best perhaps excite the base, but not the one who could take the party to the White House.
And it certainly sounds like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul are both, very seriously considering running. I think the problem for them is that they're not the kinds of candidates who typically wins that nomination. I mean, they're more, Barry Goldwater than they are George W. Bush or George H.W. Bush. And that's not to say that they necessarily couldn't win. It's just that historically those are not the kind of candidates that do win.
All right. Now, the last time you were in, Kyle, we talked about the Senate races a couple of months ago, 2-3 months ago, right? And there are 36 races up. We know control of the United States Senate. I think the most important thing at stake in these 2014 midterm elections, we all agree with that. What has changed since then? What's the movement been? Where are we now?
I don't think a whole lot has changed, really. I think that we're still at a situation where I think you'd probably slightly rather be the Republicans than the Democrats in terms of who's likely to get a majority. But I don't think the Republicans are in any way a kind of overwhelming favorite to win. I just think that they benefit from – I do think their candidates are fairly decent this year, and I also think that the map is just very, very tilted in their favor. This is just –
It is.
This of the three Senate maps, this is the one that is just the most Republican. And so, they've got a lot of edges in this midterm, but I also don't think that the individual races have moved a ton. There's probably about a half dozen races that are within maybe the margin of error in the polls.
I looked yesterday at Real Clear Politics, and which averages out all the polls, and look at state after state after state. Most of them were either tie or 2 points one way or the other.
Yeah, I think one thing
the big races that we've talked
absolutely,
about. And let's go through some of them. But
I was going to say, I think one of the things that's interesting is that we look at national trends, but in this particular Senate map, there's a lot of very idiosyncratic states and representatives that are currently there. You can't factor out the X factor, Landrieu factor out of Louisiana, but how do you put that in a statistical model? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's right. You've got a lot of legacy candidates running for the Democrats. Certainly, Mary Landrieu's a legacy candidate. Mark Pryor, even Mark Begich, who's the freshman senator from Alaska, but his father was a U.S. House representative. And so, if these seats were open, they would very easily flip to the Republicans, but they're not. And one thing that we've found as we went back and looked at how many incumbents Republicans have defeated in Senate races, and the last time they defeated more than 2 was 1980, which of course was a big wipeout year for it was the Reagan sweeps in office, and I think the Republicans picked up like 13 Senate seats, but that was the last time they'd beaten more than 2 incumbents on the Democratic side, and to win the Senate this time, they will have to beat more than 2 incumbents. That just mathematically doesn't work any other way.
All right, let's go through some of them. North Carolina, Kay Hagan holding on?
I think Hagan is leading right now. I don't know if it's by a lot, but the interesting dynamic there is that there is I don't know if he's a credible third-party candidate, but he is a candidate who's polling in the high single digits, a guy named Sean Haw, who's a libertarian.
Taken from Tillis?
That's exactly right. And what we know kind of historically from third-party candidates is that they sort of poll better than they do they poll better than they perform at the ballot box. But this really reminds me of the Virginia governor's race from last year, where Terry McAuliffe and Ken Cuccinelli both had some liabilities. There was a libertarian in that race. He ended up getting 6.5%. I wonder if Haw could do that, and that might be helpful to Kay Hagan.
Mm-hmm. You were interested in Erikka, New Hampshire?
Well, there was the new Granite State poll, which I've been debating with a colleague of mine who's a former Brown staffer who was like, Scott's going to take it, and I'm like, there's kind of that. The end of August is an unusual time. He's had a lot of high-profile surrogates. Mitt Romney, who apparently is everyone's favorite Republican right now, is doing a tour there. I think it's not unusual to have a poll that's kind of an outlier.
Sure.
Particularly at this point in time.
The Granite State poll showed Scott Brown up 10?
Down 2.
Down 2, but previously there'd been a 10-point gap, which I don't think is right.
He picked up 10 points, yeah.
And as we were talking about before we came on, I think that some polls have showed Jeanne Shaheen up 10. I think probably the real number is like 6 or 7. And this is why the polling averages are so good to look at if you just are curious about this stuff. Your Real Clear Politics or Huffington Post pollster are both very good, and you sort of get a kind of holistic sense of where the races are. But yeah, it's amazing how a single poll will drive conversation when I think that everybody who follows this stuff should sort of know better that one poll doesn't really define it. I mean, for instance, there was that what I think is an outlier poll in New Hampshire, Brown down 2. The following day, there was a poll in Georgia showing Michelle Nunn up 7 points, where all the other polls had shown David Perdue, the Republican candidate, up I don't know, mid single digits. And then there was kind of an overreaction, I think, to that poll. And I think, it's possible that both those polls are kind of leading indicators, but I would wait for more data to sort of show us that.
Well, Georgia's sort of an outlier example, too, because this is one where Democrats at least have a chance of picking up a Republican seat.
That's right. Yeah, and if
it's not one they have to defend, it's one they might be able to pick up.
Yeah, I think that Democrats also the Kentucky race is a big one too. I think that Democrats are both underdogs in those races. One race to watch that something odd may be happening is Kansas, of all places, where Pat Roberts is he did very poorly in his recent primary, finished under 50%. Mm-hmm. There's this kind of broiling split in the Republican Party out there. Kansas is a state that has had kind of a moderate Republicans and then kind of more right-wing Republicans. And Sam Brownback is the governor. He's kind of certainly one of the more right-wing Republicans out there, and he's very unpopular, might lose re-election to a Democrat. And I wonder if that's having some sort of spillover effect at the Senate race, where Roberts is leading. It's kind of a three-way field, but Roberts is under 40% in a lot of polls. So that's just kind of interesting. I don't know if the Democrats would actually go in there and spend money. Democrats haven't won a Senate race in Kansas since 1932.
It's not necessarily a top priority in terms of spending, but
it's just kind of an odd thing that's developed here.
Right. We still haven't talked about Arkansas or Alaska. I want to get back to Kentucky too. I mentioned Mary Landrieu, but more about Louisiana. And is it ever going to sort itself out in Mississippi among Republicans down there? Well, all of that on the agenda when we come back here with Kyle Kondik and Erikka Knutti on the Bill Press Show this Thursday. Questions or comments at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
What gets you into college? Good SAT scores? High GPA? Lots of extracurriculars?
Sure, but what you really need is money.
If you don't have the cash, you'll need a loan.
And we mean huge student loans because the cost of college has risen 1,000% in the last 30 years.
This means big money for the banks that collect fees and interest.
Now, millions of young people are starting their adult lives with an average of $29,000 of loans on their backs.
Altogether, we're talking $1.2 trillion in student debt.
And more people are finding it impossible to pay them back. Welcome to the student debt crisis.
The increasing demand for higher education and cuts to state funding gave colleges a huge incentive to keep inflating prices.
I graduated about a year ago, currently in $35,000 of debt.
I am in debt about like $25,000.
I owe $23,000.
I owe over $50,000 in student loans.
38.8 million Americans owe money on a student loan. And the biggest names in banking are making huge profits off the booming student loan industry. Sallie Mae, the largest provider of private student loans, made $949 million last year.
They only give you about 6 months to look for a job. You have to start paying back the loan. It's very pressuring, especially nowadays. It's very hard to find a job.
Over half of the students graduating in 2012 could not find a decent paying job.
They either had low-wage jobs or unpaid internships or were unemployed altogether.
So you can't make the payments. You start incurring late fees, which makes the loan even harder to pay off.
And it stays with you for years, even decades.
Right now, a third of the people who started repaying their loans are delinquent or in default.
That's 13.7 million people, more than the populations of Chicago, New York, and San Francisco combined.
Worse, it's not just the borrowers who are in trouble. Many loans require co-signers.
So if the student is unable to pay, that co-signer, a father, a mother, or a grandparent, is now on the hook.
Even a grandparent's Social Security benefits can be garnished to pay the loan.
We should have an answer to this. If you get really behind in your car payment or your credit cards, you can file for bankruptcy.
But Congress has made it nearly impossible to discharge student loans through bankruptcy.
Big institutions make big profits while students try to make ends meet under crushing debt.
Is this how we want our education system to work?
The whole point of going to college is to get the career you want, but lately that's been discouraged because no one can afford school. You get a job just to pay off your student loans.
We need higher education, not higher debt.
Sign up to end the student debt crisis at higherednotdebt.org.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. 11 minutes now before the top of the hour. Politics 2014 with Erikka Knutti and Kyle Kondik, both here in studio with us. Erikka, you can follow on Twitter at Erikka, 2Ks, Knutti, Knutti, right?
Very Scandinavian.
It is, indeed. And Kyle Kondik, you can find the follow at Center for Politics. .org. I'm intrigued by this Senate race in Mississippi. Is that Cochran going to be able to unite the Republicans?
You know, I would think so, and I think he might also get a little bit of crossover support. Maybe, you know, he's not used to having close elections. Obviously, he had a very close primary in which it kind of seems like Democratic voters may have put him over the top.
I think so.
You know, I mean, his performance in the more African American counties in Mississippi was very strong. And so I think he's probably going to be fine. Chris McDaniel, this Tea Party challenger,
has not endorsed him.
He's not endorsed him, and he's still actually fighting a legal battle to try to get it overturned.
Maybe the worst sport in history of politics.
Yeah, and you know,
such a bad sport.
The other thing too is that McDaniel ran a good campaign. I mean, he almost beat a real long-time senator in a Republican primary. But to sort of drag it out like this, I think really hurts his future because I think a lot of the kind of the outsider types, Tea Party types in the GOP, they sort of really they really disdain the establishment, but like they can't. I don't know how far they can go sort of without at least making peace. Like I think Rand Paul, for instance, is a good example of a Republican who is sort of, he's different, but he's sort of made peace with the establishment.
But McDaniel also has this entitlement, which is their whole point about the establishment, that people who they think feel entitled to controlling government. And this guy has shown that he is not at all fit for any sort of office based on his behavior. He's not the kind of person you want to give more power to or makes you feel comfortable with having that kind of power based on, breaking into Cochran's wife's facility.
The whole thing.
Stuff. Oh, it's just terrible.
Right.
And now, also,
I just want to jump on because there's a little time. Erikka and I were talking in the last segment, the last half hour, about Kentucky a little bit. And is Mitch McConnell really in trouble?
I still think he's a pretty solid favorite to win. I don't think he'd win by a lot. Maybe it's like two or 3 points. I just think that I know this sounds like a real oversimplification, but it's Kentucky, which is 60% Romney state in a year where you've got a Democrat in the White House who is very, very unpopular in Kentucky. And I think that at the end of the day, there are enough people in Kentucky who will hold their nose and vote for McConnell. It's obviously it's very close. I mean, I think McConnell's probably up 2-3 points in the polling averages, which is a little bit better than he was 3 months ago. But it's certainly close.
In fact, Erikka, the whole McConnell campaign seems to be tying Allison London Grimes to Obama. I mean, that's their whole thrust.
That's the only thing they've got, and I think that people over index towards the president, and I think in midterm races where you don't have a top of the ticket, it really is about what have you done for me lately. And Mitch McConnell's been there for 30 years. A lot of people feel like he hasn't been back in the state enough, kind of the Eric Cantor effect. And he tying him to the president is playing a Washington game, not a Kentucky game. And so I don't know that it's going to be enough. She, on the other hand, has to distinguish herself separate from the president. But I think he's got to stop lumping the two if he's really going to pull ahead. And I'm happy to see him spend his money. Allison Lundergan Grimes is a good candidate. I like her for the future of the party. But if nothing else, even if she loses, she's done the Democrats a great service because keeping McConnell tied up in Kentucky keeps him out of other states. Yeah. His money out of other states. He can't be fundraising there. He's not going to give them a bump. The slap on the back from the majority leader, who could be somebody who could be the minority leader, saying this is my guy, does help candidates in other states when you have that kind of thumbs up.
Not able to do that.
The money too is
money's
big factor.
Just about a minute or so left here. So quickly on Louisiana, Mary Landrieu, you said legacy candidate, strong candidate, holds on.
I think they're probably going to runoff because the election is Louisiana is a weird election system in which it's essentially it's an all-party primary on election day, and if nobody gets over 50%, they go to runoff. I think Landrieu does have a path to 50% to avoid a runoff. Her Republican opponent, Bill Cassidy, does not really because there's another Republican in the race who's endorsed by Sarah Palin, a guy named Rob Maness.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to, Rob Maness isn't going to finish ahead of Cassidy, but it's probably going to prevent him from at least being able to win before a runoff.
But Landrieu's only had, she's had runoff, election, beat it, then had one in 2008 where she didn't, and then runoff. This is a woman who Mood Landrieu's little girl isn't one hell of a tough cookie.
Well,
she is one of the toughest politicians I've ever witnessed work. She's unbelievable, and I think she will welcome it. And
she knows Louisiana, and Louisiana knows her. I mean, it's. Yeah.
One thing for we sometimes look at runoffs, and we always talk about turnout in these elections, and the idea is that turnout may drop off in the runoff. That historically did not happen in 1996 when she had a runoff, and it didn't happen in 2002.
Yeah, not in Louisiana.
And it would be a real high-profile race.
And we have to leave it right there. Kyle, thanks so much for coming in again.
Thank you.
Center for Politics at our Erikka, great to see you. All right. We've got a lot more to cover. We'll have to do it again, and I'll be right back and wrap things up.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Just this month, my bill was like $138.
Even at one phone call a week cost me $40 to $50 every month.
I am living on a fixed income of SSI, so this is really a great hardship.
Families are being punished. When they incarcerate your children, they incarcerate the whole family.
In 2011, the Media Action Grassroots Network, Working Narratives, and Prison Legal News founded the Campaign for Prison Phone Justice, an effort to call on the FCC to address the cost of interstate phone calls. The campaign mobilized prisoners to send hundreds of letters. Advocates and families filled out postcards, met with elected officials, and signed petitions. Partnerships were formed across the political spectrum and with groups in the criminal justice, civil rights, and public interest community. The film distribution company Participant Media and director Ava DuVernay joined the fight through a social action campaign tied to the release of the feature film Middle of Nowhere. In an effort to push the FCC to act, the campaign hosted a historic rally outside of the Federal Communications Commission where for the first time, families of prisoners, elected officials, civil rights and faith leaders came together to call for an end to predatory phone rates.
We're all held captive when predatory phone companies gouge our families.
My son has been incarcerated now for over 10 years, and my husband estimates that in the time we spent over $25,000 on prison phone calls.
My hero's not yours, you probably arrested them. Your schools probably neglected them. They spawn thoughts, you probably infected them. Feed us what you feed us, you can lay us next to them. FBI call it major crimes. Babies making babies cry.
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
President Obama, are you fracking kidding me?
Reopen the EPA studies.
In Texas, Wyoming, and Pennsylvania.
Fracking pollutes our oceans.
Fracking poisons our water.
Fracking makes climate change worse.
Fracking relies on toxic chemicals that cause cancer.
Ban fracking now.
Ban fracking now.
Go on. Ban it.
Ban fracking now.
Please.
Well, it didn't even leave me time for a parting shot today. Who's running the show anyway? I don't know. Whatever. But a great show on a Thursday. We covered a lot of territory, and we left a little bit left for tomorrow. So go out and have a good Thursday. Come back and see us again. Wrap up the week tomorrow morning. We'll look for you then. Meanwhile,
this
have a good one.
Is the Bill Press Show.